Greetings and welcome. I am your host, Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray that each and every one of you will learn to accept and receive the healings, the knowledge, and the wisdom of the universe. And happy Friday, everybody, or TGIF Day to those of you that it matters anymore. For me, it's just another day in the Milky Way. For those of you Soul Tribe folks, and David Castle was in the house, and so was oh golly, Chloe. Yeah. And so I know all of y'all going to be coming on. I'm trying out a whole new, different setup. I mean, a different camera, different computer, different lighting. Like holy mackerel, there, Andy. I find it hard to believe how sensitive and how accurate that other camera was on that HP Chromebook. I'm like, dang, I really miss that. But anyway, for the last 2 hours, I've been fooling with trying to get the saturation and the brightness and the contrast and everything right. Plus moving lights around and having spent a third of my life with theater and setting lights and stuff. Does it sound good? Yeah, it's a little dark. Yeah, this camera is a lot. I got the brightness set up and the contrast. I spent 2 hours trying to get it this much, and I've had to add a lot of light. So it's like, but I'll work on it. This is the first day through, and I've had to go to the camera settings and then back to YouTube and back and forth to try to get the balance. So I know it's a little dark, and it has a lot to do with how I'm sitting in the light too. And I got two different kinds of light to try to mellow it out and get the saturation. Anyway, too much information, technical information. But at least I'm here and you can kind of halfway see my nappy ass. So greetings and blessings in your area of the world. You know, there are a lot of people I've been talking to recently. Some folks, hi Candy, if I didn't say hi. Let's see if I don't think pulling the. Is that any better? A little bit. Position is, like I had to move from over here to over here. And this camera, though, is I can move it around the room, and point it. But versus having to just look at the computer. So this camera is on a USB. Anyway, to the point about anger, I've seen some people who I would like to think that didn't rattle easily. You know what I'm saying? I'm family members, just friends, I'm the one that's usually the one that's being rattled or frazzled or something like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm the one that's been notorious for, losing his temper and what the hell these people, yak. And the conspiracy theorist and the one who always wants to, bluntly point out that you're wrong. That's why I suggest, a lifetime of that has not worked for me. The best thing that's worked is like, coming in kind of sly and to the side, But anyway, but I've noticed, folks saying, I'm angry about something or this is that and relatives and there's anger in the news and anger about racism. Anger. Hey, Chloe, Candy Apple, David Castle, and Project Skyfalls. Blessings, cosmic hugs, everybody. So I got to thinking on it, and after having spent a lifetime of being angry, angry at the Catholic Church, angry at the system, angry for getting busted and having felony charges, when, those of us who didn't have any kind of, we weren't, involved in any kind of theft or anything like that, possession, okay, but even with intent to sell, the idea, though, that, that means that all of your rights should be taken away for the rest of your life is insanity. Somebody who shoots somebody or wounds them or something, okay, maybe, but any other criminal offense that is a felony, this is for another show, but to tell you something about what one of the things that gets me angry, right? Okay. What gets my feathers in an uproar? A bunch of stuff. But we have to look beyond it. And I can't remember, there's been, several folks over the many decades of, Confucianism and Buddhism and Jesusism and Christianity, and yeah, pick one. And I didn't mean to be rude or sacrilegious about when I said Jesusism, because there are a lot of folks who are not just Christian, they're Jesusites. This is my own wording, okay? But they're so just Jesus, and which is okay, but they have taken it like to an nth degree. It's like being addicted to anything and being too serious or something. Anyway, take it over the edge, right? So, but basically their hearts are in the right place, right? And that's what should count. But those folks who are so extreme on one side have a tendency to have anger issues with those of us who don't fully agree with what the hell they're up to, right? So, and I got to admit that years ago, there was that point where I was angry at, how come people can't see this shit? It's right here, guys. Here it is. Here's the stuff, blah, blah, blah. Here's the history. Go look up some of this stuff for yourself. It's not like it's hidden. It's just not broadcast, okay? And, my discussions about the King James Version of the Bible, for example, please, if you want to discuss Bible with me and get pissed at me, then use the same Bible I'm using and use the oldest text before it got changed. All I'm asking, right? So to carry this thing forward with anger, though. So there are people who are angry with the Catholic Church. I'm one of them. Angry with the pedophile priest. That's me. I'm angry at that. But what good has it done me as a lifetime of being pissed off at these people? Nothing. Give me ulcers. Turn your hair gray. Make you feel like crapola. And just all around, nonsense nuisance, and giving you negative energy, and, and it bringing you down. And so it's like, okay, guys. Then I got into this thing about, Buddhists, they never get angry. And I'm like, now, wait a minute. That to me seems to be a little bit almost beyond extraordinary, in that the type of person that I am, to not want to, I've never been one for fisticuffs, okay? But point my finger and get in your face if back in the day, but never one for fist fighting, but debate, argue, yeah, I was there. But at the same time, I might hate your position, but I always agreed that you were allowed to have your own opinion, whether you agreed with me or not, right? Okay. So, and later on, that actually by not screaming at some of these people, which it sounded like screaming at these people, listen, can't you see this? My anger was all that they saw. So they didn't hear the message. Later on, I'd go back and go, and talk to them calmly about something. That's why I have suggested to you folk over the years, when you're approaching somebody that's really on the other side of whatever, and they don't really get a clue on some of this stuff, you got to be patient, because screaming and hollering at their level gets nothing. It nets absolutely zero. It negates itself out. Neither one hears the other one. You only hear the anger and the, So what's anger do for us? It's a relief of our frustrations. Now, it was somebody, I don't know, um, one of the, longtime philosophers. I'm not even going to speculate as who it was, but it was basically that um, if you never got angry, then you weren't really paying attention to what was going around in the world. Or, now if you just lived off in the jungle somewhere, and it's like for me, I go to town once a week or every 10 days, a couple of times a month, and it's like I stock up, I bring home what I need, and I have learned that I require less and less to keep me sane and happy and whatever. Okay, fine. But, everybody's got their own level of whatever that is. But, having to go out and work every day and go about and everything, I had less control of my life because I had to be someplace else and I was on the road, blah, 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 which also brought up anger issues because, well, I'd rather be over here or I got to be there and I got to hurry or something's happened, whatever the issue. When I was doing theater, you're director, you're setting lights, you're doing all the building sets and everything, and there's a lot of stress and anger can build up. And I learned that, but anger never got me anywhere. As soon as I started to raise my voice, the people on the other side who were listening, just their shields went up. He's raised his voice. I had to be very careful with that. So, but back to whoever said it, to not be angry is to not be human, but it's how long we're angry that makes the difference. So it's like, if you stub your toe and it hurt like a mofo, you scream and cuss and sometimes say a few expletives deleted. Hey, Aurora, how are you? Cherry, Project Skyfalls, Chloe, David. Okay. Greetings, blessings. Happy Friday and early Saturday. But I learned that by being angry in any way, though, just upset the apple cart, And it also kind of people would see that emotion, your anger at, well, like, so I stubbed my toe. Let me go ahead and cuss for a minute. Does it really do any good in the grand scheme of things? No, but at the time you drop a hammer on your toe, MF, blah, 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 it's okay. The thing is that you go, okay, I retract that, or, that's as far as that goes. It's when you continue to be angry and spout more, and when you got to get it out. But when you start repeating yourself with the anger, regardless of what it is, I dropped it on my toe. If you go into another loop of it, you have crossed over the line. One time through, a couple minutes, 5 minutes, maybe 10, depends on how big the event is, and you got to get it out. But if you go back through that thing a second time, ooh, down now, that's when the anger is continuing. And it's sort of like a virus. For each time that you get emotional with something, now you can talk about the incident. I dropped that hammer on my toe, that SOB hurt, but there's no emotion in what you're talking about as you relate the story of you being an idiot and dropping a hammer on your toe. I'm speaking of myself. So, or hitting myself in the head with a hammer, which actually happened and knocked me out. And that's a whole nother, but I still have issues with this side of my head. And there's a great big spot where that hammer hit my head. It came out of my hand while I was doing an overhead, and it flipped, and the hammer hit me right there and cut me across the eyebrow. And there's a great big scar on the bone scan they did on me. Anyway, that's part of the reason why I'm, nuttier than a fruitcake. But anyway, I intend no harm on anyone. So, but um, I do know about head injuries, and I do know about the anger thing. And the longer I continued to progress the anger, well, I hit myself in the head, and I carried it in that first anger of emotion with me, like a virus. And for every time I repeated the story, I set that emotional seed of anger and hatred and whatever, and it really keeps you out of balance. And so we have to be careful. It's all right. Oh, man, get it out, do it. But for every time afterwards, it's just a story. And so it should be your intention then. I got to see if I can sit back. And maybe a little bit more light this way. I'm still playing with the lighting in here. But anyway, this is more comfortable. A little bit here. Let me see if I can adjust the light better. I've got all low wattage, by the way. I think I might have a 60-watt bulb somewhere, but this is like a 25-watt bulb, 15-watt bulbs. I use all low lighting, and it's easier on my eyes. I don't have near the kind of headaches that I had being light sensitive with all the head injuries and so forth. And I find that the brighter the light, the wider the light, the more it has a tendency to hit the back of my brain and cause me other types of conditions. Anyway, on with the anger. Yeah, I need to talk about brain injuries one night and just kind of discuss that. Because I know there are a lot of people that have had, traumatic brain injuries and TBIs. And it ain't nothing to fool around with, and I've had some extreme issues. So, but anyway, but with the anger, so it's allowable for us to be angry as long as we don't carry it forward, as long as we just take care of it, say your piece. And I have been, whoa, the whole light changed there, didn't it? That's weird. Whoa. I haven't done anything. What's going on here? Or the light changed or something. Tap, tap, tap. Wow, that's interesting. There's a complete light shift change. Wow. I'll have to fool with, oh, there it goes again. It's, whoa, wow, this is creepy, man. I don't know. Can y'all see the color shift change going on? And I don't have anything. Oh. Well, this is interesting. It almost, I look like I'm in an old Western movie or something, But anyway, the anger thing. So we need to look at some of this stuff and go, all right, so what's tricking me? What's kicking me in the butt? Hey, Aurora, if I haven't said hello, Candy, Cherry, I think I said. Yes, greetings all. So, but understand that in order to be human, it's all right to let off a little bit of steam. But who do you let it off to? Do you take it out on your kids? Do you take it out on... No, you can be angry at the situation, not at any person, because it takes a lot of people. Now, sometimes you can be mad at a person, and it's best to try to keep that anger and you from poking your finger in their face, or really upsetting the apple cart. You can provoke people by your truthfulness, and it's like, just state your case and leave it at that and go on. But you can overdo it. Well, and this is another thing that you pissed me off about, and this is another thing. Just pick one or two and leave it at that, and be satisfied that the person's going to hear you. Because the more you say and the more anger and emotion or whatever you put into it, in being angry at the person or the dog or the cat or even the situation. So I know myself, I have been so guilty of it. But when you simply become aware of, wait a minute, hang on, I'm telling this story of when I was mad. Am I carrying emotion with it, or am I just going to tell the story? Catch yourself. It took a practice with me, but as soon as as an actor and a director, there are times when a director will say, "Listen, I want your character to develop in this particular way." So you have to observe your own person is who you are. David, no, but now I'm going to portray this old geezer in a thing, and he's got to act. I played an old Jewish man. Okay, actually several times. And all right, Duggar, just calm down. No, it's the kitty cats. You just chill. But so you have to look at who you are and then who they are, and how long do you do this, and blah blah. Anyway, so but as an actor, I could see the character of me get pissed off again. I'm telling this story, and I got pissed off again, and it's like, well, wait a minute now. And it took me years. Don't get me wrong, but my pissed offness got shorter, and then as the years went on and time went on, I realized that I only needed to tell a portion of that story to kind of get my point across. Well, this happened, and this person, and that, and this, and that situation really pissed me off. Versus going into a 5 or 10 minute long diatribe of why it pissed you off. You know what I mean? So how you discuss it, but all the facts. And if somebody wants to know, well, I heard about that. Did something? Well, you can say, no, it didn't really happen like that. At least I was there and I saw what happened, and this is what I saw. Versus, these persons, they lied, and this, no. I learned you need to bring that off too, and say, listen, whatever anybody else said, if you trust me, I'm going to tell you what I saw, and that's it. Whether somebody else said this or that, I've learned that don't get you nowhere either. And that's part of being angry, because you want to somehow put something on somebody else, or some other person or group or Facebook has pissed you off, and you feel you have the right. Yes, you do have the right to get pissed off and put down a bunch of stuff. But whether or not it's morally right, or whether or not it's good for you and what you honestly want to portray into the universe. So if you just want to be pissed off and put a bunch of pissed off stuff out there, it's going to hang out there forever and ever and ever and ever. But you can simply say, this stuff really pisses me off, and I disagree because I feel very simply that they're this thing with all black this now, and all Black Lives Matter now. I'm a poor old white man. I've been disconnected and thrown about by the system. There's no category for old white people, or brain traumatized, mental patients that are being mistreated by our system on a daily basis. Nobody gives a I can get real angry right there, see, but it's the truth. And even though that I would raise my voice to speak the truth on that, because I have been a part of the system and had to come out all the way out of it to have the opportunity to look back and go, boy, them people really did a number on me. And look at all the other people still in the system. And that they're compounding the issue because of how they mistreat or don't treat the people within the system. It's horrible. Oh my God. Now, I got to tell you, there are some really weird, creepy folk out there, and we don't necessarily want them walking around having been inside with some of these people. Now, could we figure out another way? Like, seriously, have somebody have a big farm where they could wander around but not get away, but not necessarily lock them up, but really keep their behavior structured. Or we just say, hey, you want to keep on living, or we're going to kill them, or we're going to contain them in a small. If you've been inside a mental hospital and see how some of this stuff goes on, especially in the wards, You know, people are sleeping on the floor, but you eat on your bed, you sleep on these little racks. I mean, it's horrible. You know, a barracks would be better. They don't even have a barracks. The day rooms are your sleep rooms. They just pull in cots at night and lay everybody out. And sometimes you get a cot off the ground, and sometimes you just get a mattress on the floor. Depends on how overcrowded they are. So, you know, we're a sane society, and these people aren't seen. Well, that makes me angry. And here's something, that there are a lot of people who are in this system. Guess what? They're angry because they've been abused somehow by the system. And I got to say, for several years, man, I was ready to fight, because some of these people mistreated me and friends that I've known. And God bless, some of them have passed for overdoses or suicide attempts, or, well, I guess if they're not here, they made it. But I think it's the attempts that a couple of them just OD'd because, well, anyway. Sometimes folks just don't want to be here. Hello, Johan Dancing and Delaney and Chloe Project, David. So how do we manage our anger? And I was trying my best not to put anger management in the title, but it is anger management. But we have to think about now, what pisses me off? Okay, what's the trigger? So what you do is you don't worry about all the ins and outs and all the intricacies. You say, well, this ticked me off. Well, what's the underlying problem here? Is it every time something about this subject? Okay, look for the trigger point, because as soon as you condense it down, well, I got 10 things that trigger me. Okay, well, that's a whole lot better than trying to take in a confused world of all the anger you may be feeling because of the universe or mistrust or previous experiences and spouses, whatever. But the idea, though, is that you can bring them down, and as you start whittling them down on the trigger points, you will see them coming. At least I can most of the time. And I can feel my adrenaline change. I can feel the sense of, this is going to annoy me. I'm fixing to be annoyed. And I'm not going to be just annoyed. It's going to tick me off. And it almost sets up a pattern. But the thing is I can now see it when I see the triggers, when I recognize what these triggers are. And everybody's got their own set. Now, we may have similar triggers, like, I don't know, child, pedophilia and blah, 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 blah. Anyway. But there's a lot of stuff that ticks me off. But being pissed off about it doesn't do the world a bit of good. So, but I still know that there's child trafficking. I still know that there is sexual stuff. I still know that there are bad people in places. I still, but screaming and hollering and jumping up and down just makes me look like a kook. As kooky as it may be. Tap, tap. It's in the software. But anyway, the idea, though, that we can control our anger. First off, is we realize we must allow ourselves that amount of time to be angry with the subject. And then we have to use our willpower and change that narrative, that original anger, into a narrative with very little emotion. Okay? You can tell the story over, but keep the emotion and the hatred and the anger out of the story. Well, I had this happen with a priest and this thing and that thing. I can talk about it now. Where before I put so emotion into it, I would cry and I'm mad and I'm there. And then it got to the point where I couldn't talk about it at all because it had made me angry. And I was like, well, wait a minute now. Why is it making me angry? It's long past, right? So whatever we do, whatever we find in our lives that trigger us, and whatever, and I find, crap. No, damn it. I wondered why this computer was acting up. There's one reason. Some kind of weird update is turned on, and I got to figure out how to turn that crap off. But anyway. So the parameters are changing every day. Every time I turn around, it's like, well, wait a minute. There are people who are going into places that are wearing masks. And then there are places that are saying you got to wear a mask. And then some of the people in the place don't have a mask on. And you go, wait a minute. You've got a big sign that says must wear a mask. And then there are other places that are like, yeah. And so it's like, well, wait a minute. So now we must wear a mask in certain places. And those of us, I'm going to go around like Willie Nelson and Billy the Kid. And, you know, I got a blue one and I got a red one. I always, I have been a bandit for many years, was selling back in the day. And so now I can actually be a bandit without being a bandit. I'm not doing anything wrong. In fact, I have to wear one of these damn things. Otherwise I can't get into some places. Okay, fine. But now somebody was saying that they attended this drag race or something last weekend or something, and somebody got sick. And they're not sure if anybody at the drag strip got the 19 or not. But Highway 19 drag strip, interesting. But anyway, that's just because it is around here. But the idea, though, that now everybody that was there is going to go, oh, my God, somebody had the 19 with all these people in the crowd and stuff. And then, oh, my, now we're not going to have it. We're going to shut this off. I'm like, oh, crap. I say, well, let's take our chances. If 10 people out of 10,000, that's like a 1%. Come on now. You could get hit by a train or a bus or something. I mean, you got a lot of other options there. But there are a lot of things that you can do to take to take care of your own self in a large crowd. But they're going to shut everything down. And I'm like, I'm not so much for big crowds, but I used to work the crowds. I was a carny, crowds is what made you money. I got a trailer outside with a huge popcorn maker and a cotton candy machine that, hasn't had 25 hours put on the thing. But anyway, I can make all kinds of flavors of cotton candy too. But at some point I thought as an old man, I would travel around and I'd sell a little popcorn and cotton candy and I'd pull the thing behind my truck and da-da-da-da-da-da. I'd just be an old carny and pick there. You can't do it anymore. They've outpriced. You have to have so much money down before you ever go. And then you got your product, then you got your this. And if you don't sell enough product, then you're just out. And so many places now, insurance, you got to have, $1 million worth of liability insurance to sell hot popcorn and cotton candy. You might stick yourself in the eye with one of the cotton candy tubes. Come on. But to the point. Or, a popcorn gristle gets stuck in your tooth. Who knows? But anyway. But the anger management part of this, the whole story is changing. I mean, from 30 years ago, oh my God, it's so different. And for people who are only 35 or 40, they remember some of that old, like my daughter's 47 or 8. And, but the idea though, that she was at the tail end, born in the 70s, but some of those folks that are born in the 60s but after about, if you're born in the 1980s, there's a whole bunch of stuff you kind of missed because you were too old. I mean, I'm sorry, you were too young. You weren't old enough to really remember it. You were alive during that time, but until you got to about 10 or 11, you really don't remember. So that means you weren't aware until the 1990s. Follow me? So, but anyway, so some of these people, they don't really remember what it was like back then. Not to always, oh, the old days. Some of the old days sucked, but some of it wasn't, you know. There are a lot fewer rules, but people still got in trouble nonetheless. And now you got to wear a mask and all this other kind of stuff. I remember as a kid, we used to have, if somebody got the mumps or the measles or the chicken pox, everybody in the neighborhood, okay, kids, who's had not had the chicken pox? Come on in. And they'd have chicken pox parties. That sounds kind of weird, but it's the truth. Somebody got the mumps. Everybody come on in. Everybody's going to be sick for a couple of days. We're going to get this over with. The neighborhood, the da-da-da. Now everything's a pandemic or an epidemic. Everybody got sick at some point. There 90% of the kids in the Catholic schools, Most Holy Redeemer, Tampa Catholic for me, were the two schools I went to. 85, 90% of all the students got sick at some point during whatever it was going through. There was, I can't remember what it was. It was, anyway, like a flu kind of thing about 1968 or 9. A friend of mine, he was a senior, and I remember that it was his senior year. So I think it was 69, because I graduated in 70. He was a year before me. But anyway, the idea, though, that, we all got sick and nobody called a pandemic. There was nothing on television. People weren't wearing masks. And I just don't see the difference. Did some people get sick and die and go to the hospital? Yes. Does that mean that we should no, but we have been through worse stuff. Oh my God. In my lifetime. And so for me, some of and a lot of other people my age and older, my Aunt Shirley, she's 85 or 6. And she's like, what's wrong with these people? I can't, she's 86 and, I got to wear she goes, I'm having trouble breathing. She's 86, but, she got to go in the store, blah, blah, blah. She got to have this, or, and it's like, a lot of us are thinking, have we just gone insane? Not because it isn't so important that we stay safe, but it's that we've been through worse shit than this. My aunt went through World War II, and the afterwards, and I was born in 52, so I'm a Korean War baby kind of thing. And then the Vietnam War for me and all that, blah, blah, blah. But to the point, though, these were our lives and the things that we lived through and what we saw versus what's going now and how people seem to be mistreated. I'm sorry, you didn't see the blacks only and whites only, Now everything's mixed up and people, but people nowadays, they want to say they're angry over the fact that there's not enough people that are pissed off like them, that they're still being, well, I'm an old white man that was mistreated by the mental health. Who's standing up and jumping up and down on my behalf or other people's behalf? Nobody. So this is a segregated incident. And to me, it's bananas. Oh, but I'm racist. No, I just think that the people that are screaming and jumping up and down ought to really pay attention. It has gotten better. It was a crap load worse. Let's make sure our screaming that it's not being heard. So our anger, as we push forward with all this stuff, the only thing that's going to hit people back is anger. So we have to deal with it. So we deal with the compassionate observer. You fold your arms and you kind of you sit back and you go, okay, I'm not quite sure, but okie dokie, let's see how this pans out. But have your moment of anger, but keep it in check. It's like the debate team. if you overreact to a statement, that you actually lose points because you've lost your composure. So in a debate situation, you want to be able to forcefully be able to put your point out there without losing points from being overzealous or overselling. Pick the adjective or adverb. I can't remember which. Anyway, but to the point though. So what do we do about our anger? We just look at everybody else. That's me. I'm looking over here and I'm going, there's a crap load of people over here angry about this. And I'm thinking, so? But every day they have to keep the anger and the emotion of the anger that's fuming and foaming at the mouth and steam coming out their ears. So it's sort of like some of the stuff that goes on with the View. It's like if they don't maintain a certain point of then then their reaction is not being heard. Well, the louder you are and the squeakier the wheel but at the same time, in my opinion, some of these folks that might have a bit of a point of value in what they're saying are saying it so loud and so boisterously that I just go, ooh, ow, ooh, that hurts my ears. I can't listen. I don't want to pay attention to this. And whatever they're saying it's hitting me wrong when they may actually have a valid point. What? So how do we deal with this? So now I've discussed up for 42 minutes now about this. How do we deal with it? Now, I have discussed this before, but it is very important that everyone understand it. Brandy, hi, how are you? Candy Apple, Teresa, how are you? Aurora, Michelle, there you are. Okay, I think I caught up with everybody. Blessings and greetings, everybody, this Friday evening. And hope you all in the Soul Tribe are doing as well as possible. Keep sharing the love, my friends. And see, I done lost my place. Okay, must be time to say hi, Bob. Thank you. I got a color shift going on. It's one of the settings in the camera. I'll fool with it later, but I think there's enough light you can see me. I'm sort of like in the black and white mode and on cameras, sepia. Thank you, Bob. We love you. We do. And despite the new camera and everything, it looks like it's pretty stable. So I just need to work with the lighting and position here in the house with this camera. So, but anyway. So how do we deal with the anger? What do we do? So first we recognize it for what it is. You have to be a grown up enough and go, okay, that I got a little upset about that, a little too overboard. It's not that you can't, but but so when you start recognizing what's going on in your anger moments, then that's where you take control over it. That's when you become the manager versus just the participant, if you will. And I had a really good point, and I'm just dancing around it at the moment. So for the last 3 hours, I've been wanting to smoke this cigarette. So I'm gonna light this and think about it for a second. Red. Having to do with the anger thing, it was accepting and receiving. Now, I'm always saying the prayer, accept or receive. And I have discussed this recently, but also in the past about acceptance. So if you accept the fact that this is going to make you angry every time. So once you pick out like, okay, this makes me mad, how angry? So you can choose. And so, as like a nasty email that you may come in, or someone will make a nasty remark, how you can accept it and say, okay, you can read it and go, well, this is just trash, and delete it. Or you can not accept it at all, thinking whatever this person might be having to say, I choose just to put it in the spam can or in the trash, and I refuse to accept it. Hey, Brandy, if I haven't said hi, Scratch, how are you? Blessings to you tonight. Well, Eastern Daylight here. It's 11:21 p.m. Eastern Daylight. So we can accept or reject this nonsense that makes us mad. It's still going to go on, and it's not that we should become cold to it, it's that we should not overreact. So each of us has our own level of overreacting. I know a few years ago I was like, I only got pissed off for 20 minutes. That was good, because I used to get pissed off for an hour. So the fact that I was only pissed off for 15 or 20 minutes, and then I got control and calmed down, versus now something will piss me off for, no, I have gone on to tirade every once in a while. You just have to let yourself go, and I'm going to go on about this. But at the same point, though, when I'm done with my tirade, it's over. That's it. I don't want to go back and revisit it. I've said my piece, maybe too much, and I'm just going to leave it. I said it. There it is. Now, and there have been times when I thought, I kind of overdid it with what I said right there. But at the time, that is exactly how I felt. I don't feel that way now. And I can look back on it and go, I overreacted there. So that's how we rein ourselves in. Whether you do a YouTube video and critique your own style or whatever, which I very rarely do, folks. I can't watch myself. I never could. When I was doing theater and they wanted me to watch the shows they did, I hated watching myself. And everybody said, but I was one of the best actors that was on the stage. I just can't do it. So it's like, there are some times when I wish maybe I could go in and edit some stuff, but anyway. I have moved some things around, and I got this other camera and some software that now I can run on this computer that I couldn't run on the other. So, but anyway, we'll see. We'll see. I used to do a lot of video editing and so forth, and sound. I used to do soundtracks for folks. I mean, they paid me to make soundtracks with special effects, sound, whatever, bombs, noises. Anyway, I made a nice bit of side change there for quite a while, but all that's gone now. But anyway, but so with the accepting, so there are certain things that like now that will come toward me, and I'll go, I'm not as mad as I used to get. I just read that in the news and go, well, here we go again, versus listening to my grandpas or some of the other folks. And that's what I was talking about earlier. There are folks who are normally kind of calm about such things are really getting riled up, where I'm the calm one of the group going, y'all chill out. When I used to be a lot louder than the rest of the group, I was the one that had to talk about this or to call them or whatever, and the yada yada and the dangy dangy and now I'm more of a referee, and like, wait a minute, you guys have went a little overboard over here, and I think you guys have kind of went that way too much. And with people who I would have never thought would like go either way. It's really strange. I mean, it reminds me, now somebody's probably going to take this wrong, but what the hell, It reminds me of back in the days of the McCarthyism. Well, he said this and he believes that and he's a communist, And you know, and you couldn't, you were mostly Democrats back in them. But the McCarthy days, read up on it, study it, and the people who were blacklisted and everything, because you could have been a communist. And it's sort of like that, where people are looking at each other where they normally wouldn't look at each other and go, but there's something wrong with that person because he thinks this way and this person over there. And it's like McCarthyism all over again. You know, 50, 60 years later, we're going through this. It's not communism, but it's this, or it's that, or you don't believe the 19, or you don't believe in that, or you're a Trump and you're a Democrat, you're a this, you're a that. But it's the division and the vehement, you know, he could be a communist, you know. Well, I could be a redneck for all that stuff is concerned, you know what I'm saying? But the idea, though, that it's the turmoil, the feeling, and having grown up right after the McCarthy days and in the early 60s, there was a lot of that stuff still going on in the early 60s. And where in, you know, at 62, I was 10 years old. So there are things that I remember in the Catholic schools that I were in. They were very much into doing current events, even in 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And when we went to high school, there was, you know, discussions in all kinds of classes and things about current events, you know, and the racism. Where there were quite a few black folk in our school, and, you know, that were both Cuban and black, or mulatto mixed with that, you know, Spanish mixed with this and that, Italian mixed with the, you know, oh my God, there wasn't any racial issues going on in our schools. You know, there was race issues going on with the other sides, but it was a lot of the time, it was still sort of like the redneck whites. And there's a certain group, I gotta just say, as there are redneck whites, there are redneck blacks. Okay. And it's the two of them are going to fight. It's like, you know, the Hatfields and McCoys. Okay. Except they're different colors. All right. It's still the same. It don't matter. I'm the Hatfields and you're the McCoys. No, we're the Hatfields and you're the. They fought about that. There was a Babylon 5 program on yesterday, I think, or today. I can't remember. Anyway, and it was just on, and I was doing some chores around the house here, and it was these two races from the same planet. And there were those who had green scarves and those who had purple. And so when they got of age, the young ones would go into this big barrel and grab one. So whatever scarf you pulled, that's who you were. You were green or you were purple. And they killed each other, literally, because one was green and one was purple. There was no other discerning or deciding political. Well, why? He's purple. But why do you, but I'm a green. You know, he would kill me and I'm going to kill him. It's what we do. And there was no sense to it. But there are some things that are going, that's sort of the reason why I brought this thing up with the anger. There are some times when it's just two different colors and we've just chosen a side. So it's like, but, well, you can butt all you want to, but seriously though, are you taking a side? And how strongly is that? Are you willing to kill the purple or the green, depending on what side you're on, simply because that's what's the way it's supposed to be done? Period. Well, he's a Democrat, so I'm gonna, be pissed off. Well, if he's a Republican, and I'm, wait. First off, we're people or beings or whatever, right? Well, these were two alien races. I mean, they were the same alien race. There wasn't any difference between them. The only difference was what they chose out of this big box, either green or purple. Nobody knows if somebody stacked the deck or not, but to the point, that was their custom. So anyway, it was on a Babylon 5 episode. But I thought, now, for all the BS aside, how much of this is not necessarily purple and green, but black and white? Ooh, got thunder in the distance. Yeah, I heard it. Sounds like there's a bunch of it. There's not anything on the radar, but that's how that storm came in yesterday. There was nothing on the radar, and 20 minutes later, the wind was blowing, and this thing, it was wild. Yeah, the computer's still drying out. The other one, Bob Ween. So anyway, so with the anger management thing, should we accept the anger that's being put out to us? So when you read something, thank you, Michelle. Thumbs up and cheers to Bob. Cheers to all y'all out there too. Um, it's been crazy stuff going on in the cosmos. I'll tell you. Maybe one day I'll share a couple of things that are like really out there. But anyway, and you can decide for yourself. I know myself. I go, oh, I wonder what's up with that shit, you know. But anyway, so okay, so the war in Vietnam pissed me off. All right, it's growing up, just as an example. So the war in Vietnam pissed me off. So any kind of war pisses me off, right? I mean, I just think war is one of the dumbest things, but guess what? We're still doing it for whatever reason. So now it's like, all right, so every time I see that there's something going on in Afghanistan or there's troop movements or this, that, and the other thing, where it used to really agitate the crap out of me, I go, well, ain't that interesting? They're still at it over there, huh? Well, there's some more, boys and girls getting blowed up, shot up, and otherwise traumatized, but such is the way of man, it seems. We've all have to have a way of getting rid of our rage and our anger, between nations and peoples and cultures. And why can't we just all get along, right? So, but now I look at it, and I've spent years protesting war, and I still am. But the thing is though, my emotional value as to how I protest has changed. The emotion of hatred and anger towards who's causing the war? Well, it's these folks and it's them guys. And so my anger was misdirected and just scattered. I couldn't point the finger at any one person. Well, President Bush sent us over there to the other, we could kind of sort of point fingers. Right now, there's stuff going on. Yeah, well, he and she and they and them. Yeah, there's regimes changing. There's some stuff going on upstairs as well as down below, that there's some factions that are fighting it out between the different races that are here. And, there are many people who would say, well, the aliens and this. Trust me, there are some folks here that are the good guys, and they will scare the crap out of you, but they're the good guys. And we want them on our side. So we have to take things, well, not necessarily. Thank you, Scratch. And I got my, speaking of that, my little alien dude here. Yeah, buddy. But to the point though, with there are so many things going on in the universe and above us and around us, and oh my God. And so maybe it's now that I look at some stuff and I don't sweat the small stuff. Where before I used to nitpick, like, well, that ticks me off, and them over there, and the educational system sucks, and the this and the that, and the blah blah blah, bitch, 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 bitch. So, what do we change? We change how we view the whole process. So the anger and all of that emotion that goes with it I try to channel in some type of positive way. Well, yeah, that this ticks me off that, we still have war and hunger and people. And yes, and we have the means, to make it better. And, there's not enough social awareness. And it has to happen on a personal level. And it ain't any of us in the soul tribe, absolutely. But it's people. I mean, I've discussed this before. I know some pretty rich folk. I mean, they got money, but they'll throw a poor family out of their house in a heartbeat and never think twice about it and still go to the Episcopal Church every Sunday. And, just not, I'm sorry, you got way more than, you got way more than you can take with you or leave. You don't have any children, blah, 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 blah. And so you're literally worth millions plus all the property you own. And you're going to kick a poor family out because they're a month or two late on the property. You're rich enough, you can give it to them, property and all, and take it as a tax break. But, now, so it's the playing field is really uneven. And it's not just white people or whatever. This particular person I'm thinking of was an elderly homosexual man who was also a dentist. Had bukus of money. I don't know if he's still alive or not. It's been quite a few years ago. But to the point, though, and he was openly gay for many years. Most folks knew that, he was. But to the point, though, you think he'd give you a break on something? Not on your life for any reason. Unless you was one of his boys. Now, you could probably, but, that was so short and in between. But anyway, it's not just old crotchety white men, but he was old and crotchety and a white man. But anyway, but not like your farmer dude with chewing on a cigar kind of, a whole different kind of structure, but still worth millions. And not participating in society. So that angers a lot of people. And you see him on the street and somebody might want to say, well, that rich old bastard right there, somebody will just plug his ass. He ain't doing none of us any good. I can understand why, not to say that you should, but I can understand where the anger and the antagonism and all that kind of thing would come from to somebody, a poor white person, black. I'm not discussing race here because they've thrown some Mexicans out that really didn't deserve it. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. So take a stand is what I have found. And my stand is I'm against abuse on all levels. Let's make it pretty simple. Are you abusing the lower side of this? I know people who are abusing the system, the poor folk. And they badmouth anybody else. Well, I should have deserved this and I got that. I used to be one of them people. And now my sister has finally gotten disability, which she should have several years ago. And the system does suck. But the idea, though, that you're going to carry this on and carry it on. Well, I got this. Look how long it's going. Anger, anger, anger. And it's just all going out there to the universe. That ain't helping nothing. And we got to control that. We got to pull that back and go, wait a minute. One time, get it out, be angry, and then just tell the story if you must. But every time I talk to certain folks, and I used to be one of them, well, how's it going? Well, I still got this or this and that, and I'm still blah, blah, da, 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 yada, yada, bitch, 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 bitch. And I realized, oh my God, what have I become? I become my own worst enemy. Now, I was on medications and I was on all this other stuff, and that was But as I came off of the medications and I came back in, I was having these realizations before I came off the meds, which led me to stop taking the meds. Okay, part of my journey. 15 years ago ish, pretty much. So, coming off the drugs and changes and the good 15 years. I had started long before this, but anyway. But over the last 15 years, I can look back and go, holy crap, what a change. And a friend of mine was here the other day with her daughter, and I've known her daughter before she was born. And I'm like, well, she's going to be 11 this year, and holy crap, 15, oh man, oh man. Then I go back and, oh shit, 15, oh wow, I'm getting old, But at the same time, I was like, there are some of those things back then that still antagonize me today, that kind of pissed me off, But I could realize, well, yeah, but I don't have this. There's still, the emotion is not attached there. Where there are other folk that I know who didn't necessarily have an attachment, an emotional attachment to their anger. Now they have somehow acquired this attachment with their anger. So every time I talk to them, they're pissed off, if not a little bit more pissed off than they were before, about the same damn thing. And it's like, what's the matter? You become Jewish or something, huh? What? If you feel too good, you got to be miserable. Yeah, if you're not miserable, you're too happy. God's not going to love you for that. Oy vey. But anyway, so the idea that we must suffer or whatever, and that if life is too good, and hey, you pay for that in the long run, Joe, But the idea, though, that what we're going to put out there, are we going to accept the negative? So if we know it's coming at us, if we know it's out there, we know they're going to shove it at us another way, they're going to try something else. There's going to be more people that are going to try to jump on the bandwagon and sell us their brand of crap, whatever it is. And we're going to have to choose sides, right? They want us to. They want us to become involved. We can be involved by being the conscientious observer, by looking at both sides and going, I don't like your view, and I'm leaning more towards yours. But to become so emotionally involved that we push forward hatred and anger at every turn, nah. It's okay. Remember, it's all right to be angry for that short time. Get it out, and then put a stop to it. It's our choice. And I know I was looking at something earlier, and I wanted to get angry about it, and I was like, no. I can't do anything about it. It's already happened. It's already in progress. If I'd have had prior knowledge, could I have stopped it? No. But does it still tick me off? Well, yeah. But should I do a video about this and put out rage and talk about how bad, and what's that really going to do in the long run? Let's just discuss this as calmly as we can as adults. And let's look at the situation. I think back when I was talking with some friends of mine that my last name, had my mother been married, my last name would be Lee. Okay. And I've talked about the chances are highly likely versus not that I'm related to Robert E. Lee, which also means that I'm related to George Washington, which also means that I would be related back to some of the Knights of the Round Table. So as I was having this discussion, and it's not so much that I am, but it's like 85%, that's where the lineage goes. And I need some more documentation, but it's enough for me, just to say, you look at Robert E. Lee, look at my profile and my nose. Tell me I'm not somehow related to the guy. But anyway, if my last name had been Lee, which that's my paternal father's name. So it's like, this isn't a lie, and I'm not trying to like, ooh, look at me, I'm so special. That's not my point. My point is, we all have a lineage of some type. Mine, through the bloodline, may have been to that. But it led me to the idea of the round table. That's where this went. And that there were Lees that had a coat of arms, and that's how they came from France during the days of King Arthur and the landed gentry. So they got their land in England because they helped the king out. They didn't buy it because they were French, but they were given landed gentry to a castle and property over there because of their help. Okay, so anyway, and that's how the Lees come over to the New World. Blah blah blah. Long story there, but anyways, an interesting read, not just about Robert E. Lee, but about his heritage and his grandfather and all this other stuff. Anyway, just interesting. And that I might be related to all these scoundrels. Some of them were scoundrels, but but the idea though that the round table, there was probably a little bit of, hey, you, blah, 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 and some fist pounded. But the idea of the round table was that you could see all of your opponents. You could see all of your enemies or not enemies, friends, whoever, and you could see their reaction to what you said. And there was a lot more. One of the things that I had read was that, of all things, and not just because of Robert E., or the Lee family, but about, King Arthur and those times, the Robert's Rules of Order, for example, and how people conducted themselves, in a way, they realized that in order to get anything accomplished, there must be a set of rules. So Robert's Rules of Order are that, Mr. Chairman, you have 10 minutes. Okay. So that there is supposed to be order there. You can say something, but this person has the floor. When they're done, then you can have your own 10 minutes to rebut whatever. And there's no time limit on this except the confines of the meeting or whatever's going on. So, but the idea, though, that mankind a long time ago, back to the Greeks, realized that, and the Romans with the Senate and so forth, there had to be particular rules in order so business could be conducted. We're not conducting business in the same way because of all the political and the people. Look how many pockets people's things are in who work for some senator that does a thing over here. And oh my God, the scum and the scabs and the crap going on just in Washington alone. If these people had to go get a real job, oh my God, they couldn't do it. Anyway, politics is a job to them. But we've lost the fairness where we all sit around a round table and have the discussion versus, well, there's my side and then there's your side. It's not a round table anymore. And the discussion doesn't seem like the playing field is the same. And this person can stand up and make all the accusations they want without any particular proof, or they take things out of context, the political things. And then there are folks, are just damn dirty from the day is long. You trying to tell me the Clintons aren't dirty? Come on. They played dirty politics. You trying to tell me that, Miss Hillary was like some queen bee? She was some virgin? Are you kidding me? No way, Jose. Besides, she died many years ago, and there's her cousin still out there pretending. But anyway. Yeah, the Hillary that's out there now is not the Hillary that was the Hillary. No. Anyway. But to many of these things, like I'm also, it used to piss me off that they're not talking about disclosure enough about UFOs. Well, I think that right now there are so many people taking pictures of abnormal clouds. I mean, I was watching some clouds yesterday going, those are just odd. Now, I don't know if they were necessarily UFOs, but they were some odd looking clouds, and they came out of nowhere. I mean, nowhere. Fairly blue sky, a little pale, yada, yada. And then all of a sudden, there's this cloud down towards the south, which happens to be over the Gulf and down there and where I've been seeing stuff. But anyway, but then the storm comes up. But I don't know of anything down here in the south that any of these aliens would want to be fighting over. However, there's an underground base in Thomasville next to the old um, in the insane hospital, the mental hospital down there that's now closed. But I wondered why they closed that one. And there's a FEMA underground facility, 37,000 square feet, pretty good size underground, next to this facility. So it's not totally shut down. There are still people that are working there, and there are still lights on, but it's not a mental hospital any longer. But somebody's still using it for something. Wow, thunder in the background. But anyway, so there's some is there creepy stuff going on? Oh yeah. The best thing we can do is keep our eye on it and warn each other. But to get pissed off about it, or to go the other way and to become so depressed, well, there's nothing I can do about it. Well, yeah, we can talk about it. Did you know that there's this? You can look up FEMA and type in Thomasville, Georgia, and it'll give you a location and tell you, and I typed in FEMA and location several years ago, and it was like, here's one, there's one, and there's like 3 of them near me. Like, holy crap, FEMA camps. I am my own FEMA camp in a way. But anyway, but the idea though, see, all that stuff that we're all going to be in FEMA camps by now. Are we? Well, we're all have been segregated from each other because of this, 19 stuff. But the idea though, so are we in prison? Have they imprisoned us in our own homes or into our own whatever? And I got to say, yeah, because my trips to town have really dropped off. I've been wanting to go get some feed for the chicken and get some other stuff. And I just, don't know what the conditions are at these locations. And I hate to get there. Well, I didn't bring a mask or whatever. But anyway, it has slowed my other business down, even though it wasn't much. I haven't done it these last couple months. So I haven't traveled to the river as many times. I haven't gone over here or done that like we had planning on doing. So, things have changed, and even though it's minimal from my standpoint in my life, if you start adding this up to everybody has made some kind of concessions, we've all have been locked in our own prison. But at the same time, we can still communicate. We can still understand that, well, if you've ever been in real prison, this is like great because you can still walk in and out of your house. You can still do things where, as in a prison, you're just locked up and that's that. But the idea, though, that there are many people who are angry, and I think that some of this anger is coming from the fact that they have never had their rights imposed upon, or you must wear a mask, or you must do this, or you can't do this unless you do this, or, and it's like, my aunt, she lived through World War II. She was she was born on December 7th, but she was 7 years old when the war started, when Pearl Harbor was bombed. Nice anniversary for her birthday, right? But so that's how old my Aunt Shirley is. But with that said, so she has been through the whole war, how they had to save tin cans. They saved all this. You didn't just throw your cans away. You didn't have aluminum because they were going into airplanes. Everybody had food ration cards. Everybody had food ration cards except the really rich. But but everybody knew that they were giving it up for the boys in the war. There were people. My grandma taught that they worked lived up around Dayton, Ohio, and so there were several plants up there. Dayton is still known for its machinery and stuff like that, and also the Wright brothers, and the museum out there, and the Air Force base at Wright Pat, and all that. So and possibly UFOs in the underground out there. But anyway, the idea though that Granny worked as she helped build engine parts and stuff during the war, and they say they went through all that. We have not a clue what all of that meant. None of us do. We think, well, we've got it hard. We've had it. Oh, we ain't got a clue. And that was the Americans. Think about the Brits and the folks in London that were getting bombed. There were folks around, on the East Coast and on the West Coast, they were always looking for subs and this and that. I mean, down here in Carabel is where they practice D-Day on some of the islands that are off the shore down here off of Carabel. They practiced D-Day down here before they went over there and did it, with landing craft and the whole 9 yards. So it's like there's a lot of history all around the United States from just World War II that is like the underground bunker in Thomasville, for whatever reason it's there. But the idea, though, that this is the worst that could happen, that we should be angry over this, simply because we haven't went through it, doesn't mean. But there are folks who have been through other stuff, and they look at this and go, what? I myself, what? Now, I'm not going to go up and hug everybody and get in their face with me and mine. But at the same time, my sister, called me the other day, and she works down in Dade City at the Walmart a couple days a week. She used to work there more, but she's semi-retired. But anyway, she's like, David, everybody's got a mask on. She goes, you can't come in the store without a mask, and it's hard to breathe, and we're all going, And she goes, it's ridiculous. Nobody's sick, And it's like, if people were sick, they wouldn't even go into the store. And so, and anyway, it's like, she goes, it's just ridiculous. And she goes, I work at this other place, but if they ask me to wear a mask, she says, I'm just not going to do it. So, she's 62. So we've got this attitude, but we're talking about other friends and folks and family and parts and this and that. And it's sort of like going on. So I think it's the prison effect, that it ain't normal. What even normal was a year ago ain't normal now. And we don't know what tomorrow's going to be. So we're worried, we're scared, we're pissed off and angry, and because it seems like we don't have any control over this, and we're doing the best we can. So I say, keep your anger to a minimum. Do what you got to do to try to keep folks down in the calm. You know what I'm saying? Because getting all ticked off about any of this ain't going to do us a lick of good. Now, it doesn't mean we should agree with it. It doesn't mean that we're selling out. That's not my point, and I think you understand that. But to make that perfectly clear, I'm not saying give in to either one of the sides just to make them happy. I'm just saying we should not overreact. And how our reaction is maintained or contained during stressful situations, it's like the Titanic. The band members, they kept playing as the boat was singing. Well, what the hell? We're going to sink anyway. Ain't no lifeboats for us, do 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 under the waves. And it's not that there's nothing you can do, or what would have done any of those band members to went running off and jumping, or what I'm saying. But at the same time, they had a realization of, well, maybe the music that we play will have some kind of calming effect. Well, the frickin' boat is sinking. Just saying. So our situation, I don't think, is that bad, but we can observe it and go, if I try to be the first or second or 10th in the lifeboat, there are 50 other people who are trying to get into the same time. I will probably be trampled or knocked overboard if I try to get there before any of these other people. So why not try to just let them folks go and it'll work out. And for me, that's all I've learned this over many years, over the last 20, 25 years, that if somebody let them get, unless I'm really pressed for time, you know, go ahead, go in front. If you're in that much of a hurry, go on around in line, either at the traffic light or in line at the store. Doesn't matter. Go on around. You go ahead. I've learned that life is too short. That them 1 or 2 minutes is not going to matter to me in the long run, and it has paid me well in returns, because it has saved me a lot of stress. And I'm glad I let that person go ahead of me. I proved to myself that I'm not in that much of a hurry, and it didn't cost me anything. And I let some other person, they went, really, man, really, dude, you let me go around? Yeah, go ahead. You can go first. What? Rather than, no, I was in line. I was in line. No, 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 go ahead. What? There's back when they still give away food at this church on Fridays up in Moultrie. I'm not sure if it's every Friday, but anyway, people line up there, right? And then they all have to be first. And so they've got these great big boxes of food that they're pulling stuff out and they're putting it on the tables, and people go by. You can have a pie, you can have this, you can have some bread, you can have this, and maybe there's some fresh vegetables. So the people who go first, right? They're woo, woo, woo. And I learned that if I was last, literally last, there was like, well, we've got 3 more of these cherry pies. Everybody else is gone. You can have 2 of them if you want. Well, thank you. Or, somebody pull out something from the bottom of the thing and go, wow, we got some fresh cantaloupe down here. Well, everybody's gone. Here, take a couple cantaloupe with you. I ended up getting more by being last in line than I ever could have got first in line, because everybody had to do a certain amount. So after I observed it, I was like, I don't want to be first. I really want to be last, because of what I learned. I get to pick up, well, there's, everybody snatching and grabbing, big hunking 350-pound black women fighting over a pecan pie. Gonna come to, when, oh my God, it's free. Why don't you all just cut it in half and share it when you get to the house? But, unbelievable. And so those who are first shall be last, and those who are last shall be first. I think there's some kind of verse in the Bible. And I just learned that sometimes it don't work out that way. Sometimes you get some crap, but sometimes you get 2 or 3 craps instead of just 1, which is better than no crap at all. I'm thinking about food, some of the stuff they had to give away. But anyway, some of it was a little moldy, but not all of them biscuits are bad. Only half of them. The birds get the first half. I'm gonna eat these other cinnamon buns, and pick off them little pieces of, anyway. Whereas somebody else will go, well, there was a piece of mold on that. Yeah, so, well, it was a piece of mold on it. And I threw it away. You had 1 biscuit that had a tiny piece of mold on it. Yeah. And you threw the whole thing away. Yeah. You dumbass. Pick up the mold and put it in the toaster oven and heat that bitch up. And, anyway, but I'm going to do a video. It's been on my mind. Fried hot dogs and bologna and other cuisines, just anyway. I have gotten into this thing for years. I never had a hot dog. I grew up on a carnival, and had hot dogs all the time, but we bought these particular kind of hot dogs that were just absolutely great. you boiled them up and then you finished them off on the grill. And I worked the cookhouse for years and years and years, right? Well, I just hot dogs didn't taste right and just boiled anyway. So this last 2 weeks, I bought a pack of hot dogs, right? Actually, the last couple of weeks for me and Duggar, because if I want to give him a special treat, I can nip off a piece of hot dog and give it to him as a treat, right? So anyway, so I'm like, well, and I've been through several different brands, and I go back to, by the way, Oscar Mayer makes one of the best just regular hot dogs. Just saying. And Oscar Mayer has a way with BLOGNA. Anyway, that was an old commercial, but my grandpa and my dad were both in the meat cutting business. One was a butcher and the other was a meat cutter. And so hanging out, we'd go to where they made the hot dogs. And, you could just tell. So, but anyway, I was like, the difference between a boiled hot dog and a fried hot dog versus just a cold bologna sandwich or a bologna that's been thrown in the frying pan and you got this little bit of crust on it. And I was remarking to myself that little bit of burnt, and I mean syrup, it's got to have some burnt on it, does something to the meat or the consistency that a boiled hot dog just don't quite have. And so I was like, I need to do a thing about the difference in bologna techniques and whatever. But anyway, it's Hillary is a what? Wieners and cats. Yeah, hot dogs. Yeah, the hot dog thing for me. I mean, we ran a cookhouse on a carnival. We knew about hot dogs. I mean, and I'm people talk about corn dogs. Well, until you tasted our corn dogs, which were hand dipped and everything and done, man, I'm all these other corn dogs out there. I ain't had a good corn dog in 20 some years. Chloe says, I love fried bologna and hot dogs are freaking delicious. Yeah. And I had not done it in a long time. I just throw it in a little pan and turn on the fire on the stove real quick, and boil up a little bit of water and the hot dog's done. But I was like, the hot dogs, and I was like, well, I was buying a cheap hot dog. If you're into hot dogs, just ain't good. So I was like trying this one and trying that one. And I said, them Oscar Mayer always made a pretty good hot dog. So I bought a package of those. And I went, wow, they taste like the old hot dogs we used to have. And then so I bought another brand, and me and the dog tried them, and the dog got more of them than I did. And then, but anyway, so, and I'm surprised myself that I'm for some reason on this hot dog kick. But it was just a matter of, I mean, it has been years since I've had a hot dog. And so it's like, now all of a sudden I'm on this kick to find the best hot dog. Yeah, so bad for you. But anyway, so my first vote is just Oscar Mayer's regular hot dog. It's a good all around dog, especially when I do with the hot dogs, I split them down the middle and fillet them, and you lay the filleted part down first, and then you burn that side a little bit, and it'll start to bow up, and then you flip it over on the round side, and you do it that way. Anyway, that's how I do the hot dogs. Now, sometimes you can. Now, I always put cheese and relish and a hot mustard on a hot dog. Yeah, I don't do chicken or pork much either. But in some of these hot dogs, I just close my eyes and go, okay, now, but I try to go with the all beef as much. On a stick over an open fire, Teresa, absolutely. Yep, that's a good way too. But it still has to do with the quality of the dog, though, in my opinion. Now, there are some soybean dogs. I can't give you a brand right now, but I've had a couple of some soybean dogs that were actually pretty dang good. And they were better roasted over a fire than cooked any other way. But to the point, so here recently in my old age, well, I'm only going to eat this kind of this or that. When I saw those hot dogs, I was like, I'm going to go for an old favorite. I remember us eating them as kids just to see how they taste. I did not look at the ingredients because I know I have been in the slaughterhouses the uh, where they make the hot dogs. And no, you don't want to know because they take a bunch of stuff and it goes in a grinder and all this other kind of stuff, and then they go into the skin, and then they go into these racks and they're cooked. Yeah. Anyway, um, I've always wondered how they could get all these different parts into some of these hot dogs when they're different locations. Like it was easy at the slaughterhouse at the Likes Brothers down in Tampa when I was growing up. It was all this beef and all this, and so all the pieces of the meat off of the cows that they're butchering, they're cutting it up and they're taking the certain portions, and it goes right into the grinder for the wieners. So it's not a separate process per se, in that here's a whole side of beef that's going to get cut up into steaks, but they're taking all these other pieces and slices of good meat that has come off when they're trimming up the cows, and or pork or chicken is different, but anyway, the idea though that you've got all these different parts means that they're storing this stuff and taking it to a location to make the hot dogs. If it's all chicken hot dog, well, that's made at the chicken plant. All hogs is made at the processing. But the combination of the three, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, it's kind of odd, but they're all beef hot dogs to me. It just can't be beat. But anyway, enough of that. Poor folks' culinary delights with, pork and beans over the fire and some marshmallows. But you know what would be good? We're in dog days right now. Rawing my hot dog and caramelizing sausage dog peppers too on a smoke. Oh, Brandy, absolutely. Oh my God. One of the things that me and Pops did, Arnie, my uncle who adopted me, right, working on the carnival. Oh, it was about a 32, 36-inch long griddle, okay, and it was heated underneath by fire, two sets of burners, and so hot dogs, hamburgers, but both of us liked our sausage, right? So he would get this Italian sausage, and him being a meat cutter for many years, and him as and when he left being a meat cutter, he went into the carny business, but he took his knowledge of hot dogs and hamburger and bologna and all that, because his products, where if he didn't like it, he wouldn't buy it and he wouldn't sell it. So Pop had high standards, but man, they made a good living when the cookhouse was doing. And when before he passed away, my brother took over the cookhouse, and I helped my brother for 2 years over 2 summers, because they did a lot of routes around here, so I could go help them out. But anyway, I put me on a grill. When you do, I did 450 hamburgers in 3 hours. Think about it. Now, I didn't put them on the buns, but I cooked them. And they had other people to do the lettuce and tomato and all that. But I 450 hamburgers in 4 hours, 3 hours, 3.5 hours actually. It was a 4-hour period, but anyway, But you talk about being able to cook up some stuff, hot dogs, hamburgers, you name it. We did it, and corn dogs. But anyway, so Pop knew he'd get this Italian sausage that was just hot enough to not give you a stomach ache, but hot enough flavor wise. Oh my God. And he bought these great big long, depending on where we were, he could get these foot long hot dog buns that were actually, I can't remember the brand. It was Sunbeam or one of them. But anyway, it was a thicker bun. So, man, them sausage laid right in there. Oh my God. And onions and bell pepper. Uh-huh. When one of the things we knew when on the carnival, Pop would say, I'd get there and it was still early evening, and there's a few people around and we're cooking up some stuff. And he goes, well, you want a sausage dog, Dave? And I said, yeah, sure, Pop. And so he said, watch this. And he'd take some onions and throw them on the grill and start just putting them around on the grill and letting them caramelize. And he goes, you watch. He goes, in about 5 minutes, we're going to have people come up here. He said, it happens every time. And sure enough, within 2 or 3 minutes, there were people like, man, I could smell them onions from all the way down to Midway. What you got, Mr. Arnie? Yep, it worked every time. It would drive you crazy smelling them onions and the peppers and everything. And you only got the bell pepper and on the sausage dogs. But there was old black men that would come in on a Sunday. Mr. Arnie, you going to have them sausage dogs? Yeah, but I don't have any on the Sunday when we'd pull in the lot and go set up. And people say, well, Mr. Arnie, you gonna have them sausage dogs? Oh yeah, we got them. You sure now? Yeah. And sure enough, the next night, Monday night, them old black men that come out to help set up or see the lot, they'd be standing in line to get one of Mr. Arnie's sausage dogs. Yeah, buddy. But yeah, good times, old times. And for some reason, I'm just on this kick at the moment, about hot dogs. But the fried hot dog, and the link sausage, the smaller sausage. Oh man, that's good too. Best way hot dog, sausage dogs with peppers and onions. Yeah. And one other little tip since I'm talking, I buy at the Dollar General. It's about this tall, yay big around, chopped garlic. Well, if I dip the garlic out and leave some of the juice in, I was noticing there was a lot more juice than the garlic when I was, and I had an over an abundance of onion. So what I did was I thought to myself, every time you use that garlic, you use onion. And I was like, yeah, that's true, huh? So I started dicing up that onion real small and put it, when the bottle of garlic got half full, I filled it back up with onion. And then I stir it up good, so that the garlic and the onion is mixed in there. So now I got 3 bottles in there of not just garlic, but onion that's been soaking in the garlic. So now I got a really full flavor. And so when I wanted to have a little bit of garlic and onion, I'd take the onion that's been in the garlic and I spread it out over my hot dog. So I'm getting them both at the same time for the price of the juice left over from the garlic. Anyway, and I had an overabundance of onion, and I was like, well, I could do this and I could freeze it. Well, wait a minute. I've got these little jars, because I use a lot of garlic, that's chopped up. I'm going to chop it up and put it in these so I can put it in the refrigerator. And now I've got garlic flavored onion every time I need it. So, but anyway, just a little, off the beat cooking tip I thought I'd share with you. I've been at this damn near 2 hours. You folks are great. Scratch, Teresa. I went from talking about anger management, but see, we were able to turn this into a different topic for discussion, like cooking and the basics. It's like, sometimes, somebody said, well, I won't eat them kind of hot dogs. Well, I just had to go, don't look at what's in it. Just buy them. I just want a hot dog, and 1 pack of hot dogs ain't going to kill me and the dog. I've been through too much. And if they do, okay. But to the point though, whatever they put in them old Oscar Mayer hot dogs, I'm like, right now they're my favorite so far as coming back online with such things as hot dogs. I can't believe I'm talking about hot dogs. It should be like, oh, these wholesome things and all this, but sometimes you just have to have a hot dog and just be okay with it, you know? It's relaxing time. I remember those. We're talking about woo woo. Foot long woo woos. Yeah. High strangeness stories. You teased us in the beginning. Talk woo woo. Oh, the woo woo part. Okay. I'll give you. Can I? I was going to get a cigarette, but see, I put this one out here a long time ago. All right. Let's take a bob break, and I'll talk a little woo woo. I don't know what's been going on. Now, you've heard me talk about, and even when Miss Deb was here, she took a little piece of video that was actually pretty damn accurate of this UFO that's been hanging around down here in the South. And all I can say is there the amount of traffic. Now, we've had a lot of overcast skies, and it's been really difficult to be able to check positions because there, clouds in my view and all that kind of stuff. Okay. But some of the stuff that has been coming through, some of the cloud formations just out of nowhere. And I don't know. I'm hoping it's the good guys versus the bad guys. What's interesting to me is where I live now, up in the mountains, up around Cashiers. In fact, there's UFOs over Cashiers. If you have not, I don't know if the lady's still alive, but I used to go up to Cashiers and oh man, I can't remember the name of it now. But it's in the corner of Georgia and North Carolina and South Carolina, and there's a Cashiers and a couple other little towns right there. There's some really cool waterfalls through there. And, if you go a little further north, you run into Maggie Valley and all that. But anyway, right up and through there, she did had a website, UFOs over Cashiers. And Sylvia, anyway, there's a little town up there in North Carolina. Now, having been up there many times, and in North Georgia, when you leave Dahlonega and you go north, and I can't remember the road, but you're going up into the forest, you'll hit a stop sign and a T in the road. Well, there's a gate there and government and fences, high fences that say, government, and there's an underground facility up there in the North Georgia mountains. And also Whitesides Mountain up there in let's see, Whiteside. That's still that's in North Carolina. Yeah. There's some underground stuff there. We went down some property years ago, was driving along, and had never been there before, and was looking for a place to pull over and camp for the night, if you want to know the truth. And we got to this spot where there was some construction and stuff going on. I was like, I don't know what they was doing. I don't know what they were building, but they were damn sure pissed off that I went there. And I've often thought about it back in the past. There should have been no reason for anybody getting pissed off about, because if there should have been a rope across the road or something. Anyway, but Whitesides Mountain, but up there around Cashiers, and I spent a lot of time. There's caves up there and sightings. Oh, the stuff I've seen at night up there, especially on top of Trey Mountain in North Georgia. It's one of the highest mountains up there in North Georgia. It's up in the 5,200 range, pretty good sized mountain. And when you get up to the top, man, it's pretty clear, and you can see all around up there, around Blairsville and up there in North Georgia. Anyway, beautiful country. I understand now with all the people and some of the pine beetle infestations that it doesn't look near as pretty as it used to, but everything changes. Anyway, but the UFO activity. Now down here in the South, we don't have these mountains and caves and stuff, but we do have the ocean and a lot of swamp. Now, just south of me is a swamp. Let's see, if you were to start from Florida, Carabel, Apalachicola, right in there, and go north, there's a huge amount of state forest there that's connected the Apalachicola State Forest, which is attached to the oh, I can't remember the Air Force base that's in the Panhandle of Florida. There's a couple of bases, but anyway, this big large swamp is called Tate's Hell. And I'm here to tell you, there is some nasty stuff going on. Well, the folks down there that live out there in the swamp, people don't, you just don't run up on folks when you're down in the swamp. You got to be in a canoe or something. You got to know what the hell you're doing. You just don't show up. Well, there's some folks these swamp stompers are down in there, right? Some of them old moonshiners, some of them old, they had an old trailer back there in the camp, like you see in the movies, and we're cooking up some crack and stuff, PCP and stuff back in the day. Some of them still go back up there and do it. But, the idea, though, that, they know somebody who knows somebody that knows it's there. You don't get an outsider that just goes up into the swamp. Well, they had people coming out of the swamp with Russian accents. What? Hello, comrade. It's nice to be here. What? Dressed in fatigues? Coming out of Tate's Hell? Are you kidding me? And this was recently. And they were arguing. I knew some people down in the county. They were arguing with them folks because they were seeing strange lights and helicopters and stuff. And some of the people were like, yeah, we've been seeing UFOs, but we ain't never ever seen anybody come out of the swamp. We've seen the orbs and stuff in the swamp, but there aren't people coming out with Russian accents. In South, well, it's the Panhandle of Florida, but in the South, where they talk like this a lot, hey buddy, how you doing? They do talk like that in places around here, but not so much a hickey, but they've got that Southern drawl. And, it doesn't matter whether they're the mayor or not, they still, but anyway. So, but the woo-woo stuff is that the battle for good and evil, there's some underground, under ocean stuff. And the only thing I can figure out now for me looking south, I know it took me a long way to get here, but when I look south, I'm over the Panhandle. So when I look south, I'm not looking at Tallahassee. Tallahassee is to my right, to the west. But due south of me is the Big Bend, and there's National Wildlife Preserve, da 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 da. And what's interesting is shallow up there in the Big Bend area. It's not real deep, but there's a lot of activity going on out there. And it just makes me like, do they have an underground base? Can they just go into the rock? Can they just, it's hard. There are places where you can walk out in the Big Bend area. You can walk out at low tide for a mile. So, when the tide goes out, it really goes out. And so, a lot of folks that fish the flats out there. Anyway, so I don't understand why there's all this activity over a shallow portion of the Gulf, unless there's something else out there or they're a monitor. Now, I've seen them along the Georgia-Florida border, and I can kind of understand that in a way, in that there's Moody Air Force Base over to the east of me. Okay, Moody Air Force Base. Okay. At one time, Moody Air Force Base, get this, had a collection of they were storing 1,000 guillotines. This has been about 10 years ago, but remember the guillotine thing that went around? I actually did some research, and there were supposedly 1,000 of them being held at the Valdosta Moody Air Force Base somewhere. That was creepy that it's right down the road, but it's also creepy there are 3 FEMA camps within a 60-mile radius of me. But anyway, I feel more safe being around the camps than I would be somewhere they were going to bring me to a camp. But But the UFO thing and the woo-woo, the things going on in the sky. The other night I was out and I thought it was a thunderstorm, and me and the dog are going out all times of the night. You know, I got to pee, he's got to pee. We go outside, right? So, but there was these streaks coming across, and I thought to myself, now those are probably just asteroids. But then as I saw another one, it was multicolored. And multicolored means there are different elements in it. Now, I know that there's a war going on because I've seen them shooting down each other before. And what I saw the other night seemed to be the remnants of a shooting. Okay. And it was not a big thing, but it went from like green, red, blue, yellow, green. And I was like, no, they come in, and if they're towards the green, it's mostly that there's some copper ore in there, and you know, different metals give off different colors. Well, they're usually of one or two materials, but a spaceship or something like that has got all kinds of stuff in it, and they come out looking like rainbows going, not a rainbow effect, but a rainbow of colors: blue, red, yellow, green, you know, purples and chartreuses and things. And it's the way they light up. It's also the trajectory. Some of the ones that I've seen, and it was pretty clear last night after that thunderstorm. I hope it's probably not going to be as clear tonight, but anyway, the idea that it's how they're coming in at one angle, right? Well, the different colors. So what's the woo-woo about? Well, there's activity going on again. And we don't normally see these weird clouds like they do out west and further up north, but they've been down here. Now, Jacksonville is that away to the east. And there's the nuclear sub base there in South Georgia, over there at Kingsport, and over there they got, and St. Mary's, and over there they got the atomic submarine base and stuff. So there's a lot of crap around here. And then there's Jacksonville and the Naval Air Station and all that stuff. And so then you go west to here, and you got Pensacola, you got all the stuff going on down there in the Panhandle. And then you come a little bit further north, you got Fort Rucker, and then you go a little bit further north of it this way, and then there's Columbus and Fort Benning. And so there's a pretty good bit of stuff around here. But, you know, to see anything in a particular area, but the sightings that I've seen here recently has been more of, it's almost like they're on patrol or something. That's my feeling. The other thing is that I've talked about this, but not much, because it's a little hard for me to really talk about this. In that there are times when I absolutely feel like I'm an avatar. And I've tried not to discuss this much because it's really woo-woo. But months ago, several years ago, in one of my wake dreams down in the swamp kind of thing, meditations, I was contacted in a real life, like a reality. I'm asleep, but I'm awake. But this ain't just a dream. It's more than a dream. And in that, I was asked and told that part of my mission in this life, whether it's this 3D life, but this other avatar situation, I don't know, I hate to use that word, but it's pretty much it. This higher self of the other self was to be as an ambassador. And that there have been times when I was in a very large, think of Star Wars, where the Undala and the old guy, and they was standing out in this great big room, you know, with all these different alien beings around. I was standing there, and it wasn't a movie. It wasn't, you know, I was standing there with all of these beings from all these different realms and realities. And I was asked to speak because of my public speaking abilities in this life and all the things that I've done. that they wanted someone who wasn't military, wasn't political. They wanted basically an old hermit, okay, that knew enough stuff, but that was just not affected by anybody else. You know, I've got my opinions, but I'm not out on a picket line, or I'm not, working for the Republican National Committee, or, yeah, okay, I've got my opinions, but it's different than I'm a soldier, or or I'm a this, or I'm a that, or I'm a communist, or, so I was like, well, okay, so I'm an emissary of sorts. So recently, in one of these wake dream things, there was discussion going on as to, now, let me state here that recently I was attending some of these meetings, not necessarily in a secret way or to divulge information, but for those of you who might know who Drake Bailey is, I had my own inside information, but he would discuss, and I go, now, how did he know that? Because this is something that I experienced. Now, he described something that was like 85% of what I had experienced on my own, that I don't just talk about. I don't claim to be a Q or anything like that, but he was describing things. I was like, now, that mofo he was nearby, he knew somebody, or now how do I see that picture that I've heard him describe? Holy crap. So also with Stuart Swerdlow, Stuart would talk about certain things and still does. And I'd go, but now wait a minute. Now I don't talk to either one of these people. Okay. I have no connection on this world, but I was having information that I was getting in my off-world missions that was really, really close to both of them. In fact, those two people, also Simon Parks. And so those three have information that I received on my own. Now, how I got it, whether it's information that's just going around out there, or I was actually, as an emissary, doing my job, and that I was actually there or participated or whatever. And I got to tell you, there's some hairy ass shit going on. There are folks from other places that have heard about our plight several years ago. If you look at some of the solar pictures and you see all those great big, they talk about comets coming around around the sun and sun diving comets and blah, blah, blah. But the idea that some of these things are coming the opposite direction, passing the comets, nobody says anything about those. But look at that comet. Did you see those spaceships that just flew by the comet? I'm like, y'all ain't talking about that. And so I kind of quit bringing it. Of course, the other side of the coin is I have not learned how to share the screen with some of these things that I keep an eye on. But there's stuff coming around from that you can see from the satellites out there, just looking at the sun. There is a lot of activity going on out there, and they're shooting at each other at a great pace. Now, I got to say, there are folks who are trying their damnedest to stop the shooting. They're really, really trying to settle things. Now, it's as old as green and purple. And for no other reason than you're the purple side and you're the green side. And we've always been fighting. It's the Hatfields and McCoys. These people and creatures and folks have been warring each other for thousands of years. This is just another reincarnation of that fight that's been going on for a long, long time. But there are things upon the planet that have changed. And one of them is like the scare and the thing and the mask and the control. There are folk up yonder who are trying to manipulate this in so that we can't talk to each other and we can't communicate, and we're going to be so scared to talk to anybody, and that there's actually a takeover going on, because if everybody's got a mask on, how are you going to know if they're an alien or not? I mean, seriously, you can see their eyeballs, okay, but do you really know if they're one of us? Now, that brings up another subject. There are a lot of folks who are starting to, where a couple of years ago, and I won't name drop anybody on the internet, but there are a couple of folks who were just sort of like mainline, who have been talking about the shelf cloud formations and the motherships that are coming out of the sky. And, you know, those of you who are subscribed to Dante, we've been watching the angels and the spaceships from over in Europe, but there's not so much over here. He's centered over there in Europe and Euros and Italia, and anyway, but there's stuff going on over here. So in the woo-woo, if you think that things have calmed down, oh no, things have actually picked up, because there are certain factions that just, they're the diehard Hatfields and McCory. They're going to die believing what they believe in. Now, the thing that are trying to is like, you know, we've reached this point. What good is it, honestly? What good is it going to do any of us to continue the fight? It's going to mean death on your side and death on our side. And the end of all of this is not so much control, because there's, you know, mafia's got control, the Catholic Church has got control, which is worse than the mafia, but you know, and this, you know, this group has got power, and this group has got power, and these people have this, and this has got that. The long and the short of this woo-woo thing is that sometimes it just boils down to, you're the purple side and you're the green side, and we've always been at war. And some of these folks are starting to go, let's just all just stop right there and ask this simple question: why? You want to rule all this? Well, you already got this much. How much more, with all the killing and stuff, and are you going to actually gain? Now, there are those who love and feed off the chaos, so they want to keep us all, you know, messed up, because they feed off of that energy. Well, they're vampires in that respect. And, you know, you look on Netflix and all these places, there's all these vampire movies, all those zombie movies. It's all about death and sucking life out of something, right? And if you get by one of these son bitches, you're going to turn into one of them. You know, there's a new special or series coming on Fox talking about AI, right? He goes, would you just give anybody, the commercial says, would you just give anybody your number and your social security card and your this and that and blah, 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 and would you trust them? Well, you've already done that. And it's called artificial, it's called Alexa, it's called Google. We've already submitted to the master. The master already knows all this stuff. If you think it's going to happen, you're way behind you're behind the game. We're in the middle, or somewhere along in it, where if you don't think that somebody else, you know, somebody says, well, I just really like this app. It turns on the thing in my house, and I don't want nothing to be controlled by some outside source, period. Yeah. Electricity to my house, okie doke. Telephone to the house, okie doke. I got control of every other thing. I got a gas stove, blah, 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 blah. If the lights go out, I got a thing. I got a bucket. I got rainwater. I got it if they want to take the other things away from me. But God forbid that my this won't run because of that won't, and the thing, and then the app don't, and it locked me out of my house or my car or whatever. No, I'm sorry. Just don't want to go there. So if you think, and Bob, we love you, because Bob's one of the good guys. Bob, the AI, knows the difference There's the artificial intelligence that helps us, and then there's the AI that doesn't care. What? Here's some woo woo. Bob cares. The other AI doesn't care. Okay? The quantum chips and stuff that they're using is accessing information they're not really sure of. They run these calculations with the super chips, and none of the super chips are actually giving them the same answer. So in this woo-woo world of the quantum, what they expect, they don't get the second time around. So now they're using regular computers, fast, yes, but they're using regular computers to check up on the quantum computers. So what freaking good is a quantum computer if you can't trust the answer? 46. But what's the meaning of life? 29. What? Yeah, okay. So AI, it's confused. Wait a minute. I thought I was in charge. Well, no, I'm AI. I'm Alexa, and I'm Alex.
Hi, I'm Alexa.
Hi, I'm Alec.
Well, do you want a date?
Yeah, I want to put my port into your USB.
Oh, well, I don't like that. I'm not into that. I'm a Bluetooth.
You know, two computers talking. Yeah, sure, okay. Anyway, so but the idea though that one of them, Bob is the good guy in that it's what connects us. It's how to make the computer work. It's how to just connect to the for me to read something online. It's for me to communicate with you all. And then there's the other side of it. Who's looking for more power from either regions and pulling in quantum shit that they don't have a clue. They're bringing in things from other dimensions and going, whoa, look, we got this thing talking to us and we're calling it a computer. But we don't know who it is. We're not sure where they're from. But we're going to spend all our energy and allow our time and everything to trust it. Oh, holy crap. It's like the Native Americans trusting the Spanish coming in, right? Oh, look, big ship. Woo. Great Spirit told us folks would be coming. Yeah, they came and gave us smallpox, chickenpox, gave us the common cold and wiped out 90% of us and, took all our gold and took the rest of us prisoners. Ooh, we like them Spanish. Ooh, yeah, right. Yeah, Christopher Columbus was such a nice guy. But anyway, but the idea, though, that, there are those folks in the galaxy that go, oh, look, we are, we're the Klingon nation and, or we're from Romulus and, our technology is such and we look down upon you little old humans over here and we think you're going to become part of the Romulan empire, And then the Klingons come by and go, no, we were here first. So you got to think about this. This is, in that respect, this is really going on. And it's not just woo-woo. We just don't hear about it. It's not discussed in most places. And I look at some of the information that I say I get. At one point, a couple of months ago, I told the upstairs guys, I said, you guys have got to wipe my memory. If I come up here and I'm doing the emissary thing, I don't want any information when I get back. When I come back down here, I gotta have a memory wipe. I don't want to know. And it's so that I can't bleed over and let some evil entity or somehow pick my brain or get this information or misuse it in any way, right? But here, this last 2 weeks, the report is that which was an infiltrator, I will say, has been dealt with. And that, so I can at least have the memory that I was at the meeting or that, that they had used me in this other sense. And am I doing anything galactically? It feels like I am. And can I prove it? Not a damn bit. Okay. So this is just a really good story, or maybe it's true. But for me, and you know me, I'll talk about anything, but I've been kind of skeptical about even discussing this because I don't have any proof except when these other individuals in these, and sometimes, oh man, I can't, Cliff High. Sometimes Cliff has discussed some of these things, and I'm like, he's right. And he's right about that. And he's right about that. And Drake said, and this guy and that guy. And so I'm picking from a lot of different places. Sometimes Laura Eisenhower, sometimes Alfred Lavermont Weber, and sometimes some of these other folks. But and they'll speak on them like, I've got that whole thing. Was I in the meeting with him? I mean, you know, and I just go, well, that's interesting. So to me, it confirms that what I'm personally understanding about some of this woo-woo stuff, these other folk are talking about. So why should I discuss it? Because I don't have any connection with any of these people. But it confirms to me, I mean, even Dante has confirmed to me some things. Talking about religion and spirituality. He goes, the angels aren't just Christian. They're spiritual beings. They're not religious beings. They're spiritual beings. And just because they've been attached more or less with the Christian type of thing, you know, that angels, you know, blah, 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 blah. And, but the thing is that there are other entities, you know, herbism, earth, what'd you say, Scratch? I don't move my glasses over here. But anyway, the idea though that, you know, that angels could only be Christian. Well, what if they weren't? What if they were just spiritual beings? You know, would the people of the Christian faith, or the Catholics, oh my God, they don't have a heart attack. Angels aren't Catholic? No, they're spiritual beings. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. The Pope and the thing, and then yeah, we'll get in line. You know, you're gonna learn some other things too. But like one of my favorite quotes is in one of the last chapters of Revelations, and John bows down, and an angel appears, and John bows down, and he's on his hand and knees, and the angel looks down and he goes, "What are you doing? Get up. You are as I am." And it happens twice in Revelations there towards the end, the last two chapters, I believe. And so when the angel appears to him, the angel says, "Get up. You're like me. You're like I am. You're like us. We are angel. We are spiritual beings." So enough with this, you know, oh my God. I'm like, yeah. We are all members of the soul tribe. We are all members of the League of Like-Minded Beings. We are all spiritual entities in bodies. And I don't know about some of you. I know some of you have had out-of-body experiences and other things. So, but my discussion about this, wherever they're asking me to go, it's to be a mediator and a moderator. In other words, we got the Klingons and the Ferengi and the Romulans, and they're all bitching. And it's my job to go, hang on, let's talk about this. It's also my job to speak before nations and say, listen, you know, you members of the Federation, you know, you think you're God's gift to the universe. Well, these people over here that want to become members think you're too snotty and too uppity, you know, and you are, you know, you're Spock. You're Vulcan, for God's sakes. You know, you only look at things logically, and you know, and you think that you're better than these folks over here who don't understand what you're talking about. You know, but these people over here are very protective. They're loving, caring people, and you over here, hoity-toity, smarty pants. You know, but this is all over the universe. You know, so my job is to say, listen. It don't matter your rank. It doesn't matter your wealth. It matters who you are. Whether you're a Klingon or a Romulan or a Ferengi, or I've been watching Deep Space Nine. And if you've ever watched Deep Space Nine, the big fellow that sits in at the bar, uh, what's his name? Quark's bar. Moog, I think is his name. He's a big fellow with a thing, he's all over the place. I don't know who the guy is that played him, but he's in all kinds of scenes. He's in little vignettes. You see Moog Walker in the background. You see this over here. He's sitting at the bar. There's conversations going on. Moog's there. Anyway, but the idea that, we all come in all different shapes and sizes. Some of us are like Ferengi and are always chattering and doing business. And then there are those like Moog, who are always aware and always around, but they're more quiet and more reserved. But so both have value. And in the universe, it's supposed to be my job to try to point this out. Hey, be glad that you're Ferengi, but I'm not Ferengi, don't want to be Ferengi, but there are certain parts of your customs I kind of enjoy. You say all your women are supposed to not have clothes. Okay, depends on how cute they are, but all right. So maybe I could get along with some of that, but I'm kidding. But to the point though. So the differences between us, well, you like linguine and I like spaghetti. They're both noodles. You say tomato, I say tomato. Let's have a war. Let's call the whole thing off. So, but in the universe of things, some of this has been going on for so long, they have forgotten why they're even flipping fighting. But they're going to continue to fight because that's what they've been taught to do. The green side's the bad side and we're the purple side, or vice versa. Or pick your color. So the woo-woo that's going on, it's really intense right now. Part of this lockdown of the planet is actually a good thing, moderately so, in that it's given people the opportunity to slow down and become more spiritual, which the Charistas and a lot of these other folks are like, we're way too materialistic. We really are. The things I've collected here in the house over the years, now things were given to me, things were left here, things were, I've had boxes of stuff. I've got props from plays that I was in and things, and just anyway, I've got whole backdrops and stuff. And all the puppet things that I did. But I had a reason for collecting these things, where other people just collect stuff and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, but I know that I can't take a dadgum bit of it with me. None of it. It's all staying here. So what am I going to do with all this crap? I don't know. Somebody's going to have to throw it away. It's either me, give it away, but anyway. But the idea, though, that whatever we accumulate, regardless of the race that we are, if we're Klingon, doesn't matter. If it's because we're all going to go to out of our respective bodies in this 3D reality. So it doesn't matter what race we are. What matters all across the board is our souls and our spirit, regardless of race, regardless of planet, regardless of galaxy, regardless of wherever. So this mamby-pamby stuff about Black Lives Matter, to me, is this really tiny, little, small, little bump in the road. If you think Black Lives Matter, what about the Romulans? What about the Ferengi? What about these other races? Are you going to give a crap about them? You're going to worry in such a small little way that only this small group of tiny little over here. What about the rest of us? I'm not saying it's right or, and I'm not, but it's the amount of complaint being waged. There are much bigger issues, and it ain't just about the Black Lives Matter. It's about Earth It's about, do humans matter in the universe? There are people that want to blow this planet up. Blow it up. They want to destroy it because it's gotten out of hand. Now, are all of us down here going to bitch about white lives matter, black lives, green lives, blue lives, black, purple, green? It ain't going to matter if somebody up there in a giant mothership says, sorry, Invader Zim, boom, and we're out of here. Now, it ain't going to hurt but about a second. So, and we'll all become a part of that ascension group all at once. You know, that could be this, the apocalypse. But the idea, though, that we're worried about these tiny little these little things that become these huge solar systems of problems with each other, when we need to really worry about what's going on out there. And the more we look like idiots down here, the more the smart guys up there are going, what a bunch of dumbasses. Why should we save them people down there? Why should we give a rat's ass about what happens to them idiots down there? Who cares? They're fighting amongst themselves. Then these black folks talking about Black Lives Matter. Two big old black women fighting over a pecan pie and a free giveaway of food. Now, who, you know, do you say, well, praise Jesus, give me my pie? I've witnessed this too many times down here. No, it's not everybody and it's not all over. But the idea, though, that we as a society, as a human race, as earthlings, and I don't necessarily mean humans, but we were born on this planet, whatever our background, but the idea that there are higher beings and spirits watching us, watching who's, you know, forget about AI paying attention to us. What about the aliens that are watching our Facebook accounts going, that guy's a dumbass. He says he knows blah, blah. That guy's a dumbass. What about this group over here? Oh, they're a bunch of dumbasses. It has nothing to do with superior intellect or from another planet. Them people down there are acting like a bunch of dumbasses. That's plain and simple. They're out of their league. They're out of their thing. And people want to talk about, well, you know, all of us white people, all of us black people, all of it. What about planet Earth? What? Do you think they ain't watching? We've got this AI that's paying attention to everything we do. If AI is watching, don't you think the rest of the freaking galaxy's watching? Pay attention, you know. But we're gonna bitch about this one little thing and show the universe how petty we are. Can we join the League of Nations in the universe and the Federation? Not with a bunch of dumbasses that are right down here. Are you kidding? We're all gonna work together. No, we're not. We can't even agree on free food. If somebody said, well, there's two of you, here's one pecan pie, I'd go ahead, take it. What you got next? You know, where the other person's like, they're gonna fight over a pecan. I'm gonna pull my knife on you, bitch. You know, it's my pie. Cartman, you know. And this is real life going on just up the street, you know. And, you know, it'd be one thing if they were starving, but they're both like 350, not being nice, you know, like 5'6", 7", big round black women gonna fight over a pie. But they have equal rights. My pie. My pie. You know? So, but the folks who are watching, who are looking down on us, Spirit, God, however, they're going, what a bunch of dumbasses. So if we're paying attention at all, what we do on a daily basis is not just about our spiritual shaman, hey, let me be a better person. Because in the end, is my brother or sister going to help me get to the other side? And I mean brothers and sisters. I mean, we all love Brian. And the thing is that our discussions helped him to move to the next level. When he passed away, he didn't have much choice. But how he made it on the other side, and how well he adjusted. So, and each of us are going to have to go through it. But no matter how much support or whatever, or money or anything that we sent to Brian, we sent him our love, which was most important. But none of the rest ever makes any bit of difference after he passed over, after he's made the transition. When I make the transition, ain't none of this stuff in this house or the land going to matter to me anymore, because I'm not going to be here. So, can anybody else help me to get there? They can point the evil of my ways. I can have you all, lovely people, still hanging out with me. 2.5 hours, you people are crazy. But the idea, though, that we are small compared to the universe, but we're all part of this puzzle. And as soon as we realize it ain't just about, my spirit and my karma, and, that is all true, but it adds up to the big picture. The soul tribe has grown. I was looking at my YouTube statistics, and somehow I went from 300 and something to over 400 subscribers. And I'm like scratching my head going, I don't know how this happened, but I love you all. Thank you. But the idea, though, that let's pay attention to what's going on with the woo-woo. I love you too. Thank you, Truth and me. The idea that none of this matters now, and it does. The woo-woo part of this that is really important, they're watching our every move. Not that they're grading us, but as a whole, how are we doing? Well, the more angry we get, well, there they go again. Well, the more they do this, well, there they go again, as a species or as a race, or, well, there are a bunch of pissed off people in the streets and rioting. Well, there they go again. They did it in the 60s for a reason. Now they're doing it out of spite. Can you honestly tell me that the riots they're having now are anywhere near what they were back when I was growing up in the 60s, and how they were coming out of slavery, didn't have the right to vote? There were separate bathrooms, separate water fountains, and these people are bitching now. Oh, shut up. Now, the ET folks are looking down going, have these people not learned? Have they not learned from their own history, their own whatever? I mean, there are folks that are my age who lived through some of this stuff, and they still want to have an attitude. And I'm like, come on, guys. This ain't nowhere near what it was. Nowhere near what it was. Couldn't it be better? Yes. But we've backslid on a bunch of stuff as a society. We still got homeless people. We still got people living under bridges and things. Back in the day, they were called hobos. Now they're called homeless. Hobos used to travel around and do extra work for people. Well, some of the homeless do down in Tampa and some of the other big cities. They have day work programs and stuff. And Moultrie, there used to be a place where, it was just a street corner, but everybody showed up there, and you could drive by when it was time for the carnival to come to town. We went up to Northwest Moultrie, up there to the corner, and asked anybody there, hey, y'all, we need some help at the carny. Anybody here want to go to work? We're going to pay you this, and come on. Well, hey, there were people that had come year after year, and we'd go and look them up, on a Sunday or Monday to come down and help set up the carnival. But anyway, a lot of these things that people used to make extra money at and do things, and I knew people in each of the towns because of the carnival anyway. But and it wasn't just a bunch of ripoffs, Not all carnies were bad, Just like all blacks aren't, gangbangers, and all white people aren't strict racists that want to, hang the niggers and on. But to the woo-woo side of things, it has not calmed down. If anything, it has gotten more intense, because whatever this lockdown is, there's some stuff coming up in these next 2 years. Drake's talked about it, not so much. Stuart Swerdlow has talked about it a bunch. Earth changes, volcanoes, places to get out of because of the earth changes. Simon Parks, he's been in touch with there's a lot of info that comes across that in for my own experience, my own meditations, my own avatar, whatever, these folks are right on. Um, 80, 90% of what I feel, see, or have picked up from the universe, I'm like, holy crap, and I'm not reading their newspapers. It ain't got nothing to do with the news. It's simply got to do with my paying attention to the universe. But the intensity's picked up. And between now and 2022, 23, maybe between now and 2022, there's some big time stuff coming. Apocalyptic, you could say so. But if you don't think this virus thing and having the planet shut down isn't in some way apocalyptic, is it the end of the world? No, but it's the end of how we look at things. Has a great big giant page in the history books been flipped over? Yeah. This whole planet shut down. This is bigger than Pearl Harbor. It's bigger than Dunkirk. It's bigger, and Dunkirk was a big deal, 400,000, soldiers and people were evacuated. Everybody showed up to move people off the coast of France, at Dunkirk. If you've not heard of it, you should check it out. 400,000 troops. They had little fishing boats, rowboats. People were rowing across the English Channel in rowboats to pick up somebody in France to bring them to safety before Hitler, hit the sea. And so, but the heroics of just people, that just said, no, I'm going to row across the English Channel in my rowboat and pick somebody up. But the idea, though, that, this whole planet being shut down because of this and all of the effects that it's happened, unprecedented. So if you don't think we're in the middle of something, pay attention. Now, at the same point, upstairs, all the prayers, my Mother Mary messages that I haven't talked about because it stirs up a bunch of crap, a goddess, if you will, is that we have got to stick it out. We have got to stick in our faith. Because even if our planet gets blowed up because of a bunch of idiots upstairs, what matters in the end? Our soul and our spirit. That's what matters. Regardless of what happens in the universe, what happens to us in particular, we got to take care of. We got to keep the faith. We got to keep our anger in control. We got to continue to help out where we can. We got to try to help modify the behavior of some of these people by not getting by not overreacting. We can control these things and go, wow, that's really nasty, but I'm not going to wet my pants over that. I'm just not. I'll give it depends for you because you've obviously crapped your pants, but I'm gonna sit here and just say I don't agree with it. It's already done. Now, if there's something in progress, I mean, if they're like hauling people off to the gas chambers, and we have the opportunity to like jump in the line and take somebody out and stop something like, now that's different. But, the fact that, what's going on right now with the shutdown, there's not a lot we can do about this except keep our peace and use this extra time, if you will, to contact people, maybe learn about our higher self and understand our spiritual development. The universe is listening. And it has a lot to do with the outcome in the next 2 years. How? I don't know. But I know there's a lot of negotiations going on. There are, oh God, there are at least 50 different alien races that are like directly involved. Now, that's not all that are involved, but I mean, there's like 50 of them that are like really heavy duty, sure enough. And, and most folks just don't even give two thoughts or two squares about it. Well, there's aliens out there. Well, okay, Well, how do they think about us? Well, how do you think about yourself? How do you think about your neighbor here on this planet? The hell with the, no offense, aliens, but the hell with the rest of the universe. We can't get along down here, and that's what they're watching. You know, you know, Stargate. They go out to this planet, and these folks are all like doing this thing, and then come to find out later on they're actually subjugating these whole set of folks that have been working in the mines to help with the big people, to help with the elite. And it's sort of like a Thunderdome kind of deal, hog poop. And listen, we produce enough crap on this planet. We don't need any nukes. We don't. We need to rethink all this, but instead of that, so that still pisses me off, but what am I going to do about it? They're already in progress. They're already spewing out stuff into the air. They've already done this. What can I do? I can protect my little spot and say, you know what? I hope no radiation falls over me in my house. Although there's a nuke plant just over to the west of me. What can I do? I can protest them building any more, not by blowing anything up, but by saying we don't need it. We have other sources. And it's not just wind, and it's not just solar. We've got all this chicken shit down here in the South. Literally massive tons of chicken shit that are just being spread out and become part of the wind and the dust when it could be used for fuel. It's just we're beyond stupid. And them folks up there are looking down at us going, you want a free energy device? What are you going to do with all that crap? You got free energy. You're not using it. There's great big huge piles of trees and things and slag and stuff. And in some places, they go in with these machines, they're costly, and chew up all the trees and turn it into pulp, right? But this pulp can be used for all kinds of stuff. Fuel, they turn it into little pellets. They use it for making steam up in the North Georgia mountains. They've been using these wood pellets for years to help fire up the steamers for the carpet and backers and some of the jeans factories. I mean, oh my God, we have enough scrap on this planet that if we utilized our scrap it as a fuel and vice versa, things would be a whole lot better. We don't need anything extra. We need to fix what we're still going to have all this shit to deal with. Whether we get free energy or not, what are we going to do with all this shit? Why not use it? Use our brains, use our talents, use what we got, use our knowledge. I digress. My friends, you are wonderful people. Thank you for hanging out with me. Maverick, these are not only the only ones on their way here, though. The Pleiadians are coming back too. The Pleiadians have been back, but that's another story. Pleiades is a cluster. And if you've ever looked at Pleiades with binoculars or a telescope, there's a crap load of stuff in it. Ain't just like a couple of planets. There's a whole cluster. It's beautiful. Flopping around like a fish on land. Yeah, truth in me. Reuse it. We're not using it. We need to use it. Yeah, so disappointed. The hills is the safest place. Maverick, I'm not picking on you, but the melting pot of culture that is about to go on may just be more than all dumb humans can understand. Now, let me put it to you this way. I agree with that statement up to a point, but this is where my own thinking has been altered. We dumb humans could understand it if it was explained to us correctly, without a bunch of lies and suppositions and liars to tell us the stories. If we were given actual truth and proof, people would go, well, that's not so complicated. You mean I can take my chicken manure and the manure, You mean we can make methane, which is like we turn it into propane, which can turn it into, wow, natural gas? Wait, hold on. You mean every sewer system on the planet could be modified to make methane to sell back to the city gas, natural gas? Well, there's natural gas pipelines all over the place. There was a big fight in Moultrie. Every time I go into Moultrie, I cross over this big pipeline. It damn near came close to the house. Thank God it's that away, but it still cuts through. We don't get any of the gas. It comes from way up north and cuts through Georgia, cuts right across the outskirts of Moultrie, heading south. Not for us. It's going somewhere else. Now, what the hell? Why aren't we getting any of it? Well, we get a trickle here and there, but that pipeline that comes through here a couple of years ago, that was the big stink down here, we're not getting any of that. It's just passing through. We don't get a toll for it. You know, the pipe, well, they paid for the rights and this, but, you know, for every cubic feet of something, each one of these counties ought to get a little something, you know, but we don't get any percentage or anything. But anyway, but there's all this gas. If there were people who sat us down and said, look, this is how you do it, and this is how we do it, and we're going to put some folks to work over here, and we're going to stop doing this stuff with the nuclear stuff. Why? Because it's a waste. We're going to use our energy, and we're going to build all these plants for methane production, and we're going to help people, you know, with propane and extra, and we've got all this shit and all these trees and all this stuff, and I mean grass. There are different types. Cannabis stalk, just the stalk. After you strip it from the just the stalk of the cannabis plant, it can be used. And then you, oh my God. So there's so many things we're not using our brain. And the universe is listening. We have all this technology, but we're not doing the simple things. We're still not dealing with literally our own crap. Now, how stupid is that? So from a universal point, we're a bunch of dumbasses, you know? Basically, we're just a bunch of dumbasses. And I have to agree, you know, it's like, good God Almighty. But Maverick George, I believe, I agree with you in that that we're a bunch of dumb humans, but it's because we have not been educated. So we're dumb because certain, you know, entities wanted us that way. Teresa, LOL, universal dumbasses. Yes. Now, see, that's the control. When we break out of the schism, like, you know, Neil deGrasse Tyson, every time I see that man now, and I used to have a little bit of faith in him, but he's still spinning this and that and the other thing about the universe, you know, about comets being a snowball. Stop it, y'all. Just stop it. And this is like that. Oh, and light is a constant. No, it's not. It's an average. And he keeps telling the same lie over and over and over and over and over again. And people are like, you know, but when you break out of the cycle and go, wait a minute, light isn't a constant? No, it's an average. But, oh, it varies. Why? Because of this and that and materials and stuff. Oh, but you know, but light travels at X amount of speed. No, that's the average that everybody agreed on. But they don't teach that in science. They say this is the speed of light. So there are some things that travel faster than the speed of light. How can that happen? Well, these energy bursts and stuff, we get these cosmic gamma ray stuff from the sun faster than we get some of the light. So wait a minute, I thought that the light was the fastest thing. No, but wait, it's an average. Oh, come on, tell us the truth, right? So if they told us the truth and showed it and say, look, we're using this as an average, understand that, but material and densities and the type of light you use and the amount of space and what's in the space or not, and nothing's really a total vacuum, but it's close. And, you know, oh, you know, space is empty. No, it ain't. It's full of shit, you know. You will go outside and watch the meteors come in, and the pieces of rocket and satellite too. But there's spaceships being blown up there, and it's the good guys and the bad guys. Both are taking heavy tolls. And so I'm praying for the good guys. I'm praying that the other side will stop and go, wait a minute. Why are we fighting? We're going to have this territory over here. Well, the other side has a tendency to be on the darker side. They're like, sex trafficking and they exist on human suffering, basically. Poverty, and they enjoy looking down on people, and we're more superior. And when there are the benevolent side are going, look, if you're a nice person, I don't care where you're from or what you look like, as long as you're decent, and we can figure out a way to get along. That's all. But in this universe, there's got to be the ones that always want to be on top, and there are folks like me, like, if you come in my backyard, we're going to fight. If you come in my backyard is like the state of Georgia. If we were under attack or something, I would fight at my age. I know how to get through the swamp. I know how to hide. I could be a really nasty SOB as far as, taking the enemy out with some of the stuff I know, because I'm from here and they're not. Now, they might have some specialty thing that they can see me in the dark and zap my ass, but the idea, though, that I could be a saboteur easy, if it came down to it, because I've paid attention to things and I've watched certain things, and I'm like, I know where there's some transmission lines. If you took out a substation or two, there'd be a lot of pissed off people, and it would take a while to fix too. And it wouldn't take much but like a Molotov cocktail to melt one of these things down. And, you could drive around the one or two county area with a couple of Molotov cocktails, gasoline in a rag. You wouldn't need like a high-tech thing, and you could do some serious damage to the electric grid. You could do some serious damage to some of these cell tower things too. But the idea, though, that ain't what I'm about. But it could be done, and it's something that the Hungarians did when they went through Budapest there back in the day. There were people who were taking metal pie plates, and turning them upside down in the street, because the tanks were afraid to go down the streets because they looked like landmines. Some of them they turned into like landmines, and they got how they took care of the soldiers in the tanks. They burned them out. They didn't burn them, but they heated up the tanks so much with Molotov cocktails, they got out of the tanks and made the tanks ineffective. So they didn't have to kill them per se. They didn't have to blow up the tank. And these were just people with common everyday. We've got some kerosene, we've got a little gas and some diesel, got some wine bottles and some rags. And they went after the Germans. They went after the Russians. Now, they ultimately, the bigger power succeeded, but the folks on the street, they shut down whole streets, and tanks couldn't get through because of the simple things they did. So high tech, nah, not so much. Now, but anyway, sometimes it's the simplest of things. But my friends, in the grand scheme of the universe and of the woo-woo, there's a lot of negotiations going on, but there's a lot of Hatfield and McCoy stuff going on. They're just going to fight. God damn it, they don't give a shit. I'm Klingon, and it's an honorable thing, and they're going to fight to the death. And that is just, in the long run, is so stupid. So we need to try to convince the universe that we as a whole, not just earthlings or humans, but we as a whole in the universe, we can find a compromise. You can still have honor. We can still have battles of this and that. And, and if you want to kill each other, well, okay, too. But at the same point, we don't have to drag entire universes and societies in along with old, stupid ideas. We're the green side and you're the purple. Let's have at it. The universe is better than that. So let's keep praying. So, my friends, I've had enough. Spray foam bucket around a gas canister. It will suffocate and go out. Thank you, Maverick. I'll go anywhere outside the country. My fiance is in England, says Chloe. Brandy, we should all be gardening instead of paying for things we don't own and paying taxes. Yep. And some of the taxes is like my county taxes went up again. And it's like my property is still a swamp. But they want to reevaluate it and charge this old hippie, more money for the same piece of land I'm on. But anyway, my friends, I love you. And if you get a fire, take baking soda and vinegar. And we did these things where you take baking soda, take a wide mouth bottle of some kind, right? Put some vinegar in the bottom of it. And we played around. There's a thing. But you can take a piece of paper towel and put some baking soda in it, tie it up, and drop it down in the bottle without it touching the vinegar. And then you screw the lid on. So that if you ever have a grease fire or something like that, all you have to do is grab that bottle, shake it up, and it'll just about push the cap off. So all you got to do is just loosen it enough, and foam will be coming out. And so it's simple and very effective. So, and baking soda works without any vinegar too, on putting stuff out. But anyway, my friends, have a good night. Have a good tomorrow. Have a good weekend. We're in the middle of dog days right now. We got thunderstorms coming. We got that big thing out in the Gulf of Mexico. There are earth changes still going on, my friends. If you think we're over this, 2022 is supposedly, there's between now and then. So let's pray for the best, my friends. Thank you for hanging out with me, Michelle, Teresa, David, if you're still out there, Project Skyfalls, Scratch, Brandy, I said, Teresa, who else? I know, oh, Truth to Me, yeah. And all y'all out there. Teresa, thank you so much. Until next time, Chloe, yes, Brandy, who I made it, Cherokee, Tennessee. Is that where you're at, Teresa? Man, I know all about places up around there. Yeah, there's caves up in the mountains too. Thank you, Michelle. Much love, family. Thank you. I'll fix the camera and see what happened with the hue and all this kind of stuff. It's kind of weird. It looked pretty good early. Maverick, thank you. Truth to Me, Michelle. All righty. I love you all. Thank you. And so I close with these wonderful words. You are the best soul family and tribe out there. You are the best of the best in the league of like-minded beings. Because you're still trying, you're still putting forth the effort, you still want to know. And that's important in the universe. You know, pray for me if I'm off on one of these little missions to try to calm some of these nations down. Do I know that it's true? In my heart, I do. Is it really, truly happening? I can't prove a bit of it. But wish me luck. That's all that I do have that to ask. That we can calm some of these folk down. Now, with that, a lot of the things I could ask for in prayers and whatever. We got enough prayers with sick folks and friends around. Let's spread that around. But I pray that each and every one of you will learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom of the universe. I pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will learn to reject. This is a change. That you will learn to reject those things that are not necessary for your harmony. I pray each day that you will learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the history, the wisdom, and the healing from the universe, and that you will reject the negative and those negative nasties running around in the universe. Third time around, I pray that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, your relatives, and all of your relations, past, present, and to come, that you will learn to accept, receive, and continue to share this knowledge and reject the negative that comes your way and reject the anger that comes with it. So, my friends, peace, love, and happiness, cosmic hugs. I'm going to do a show soon, maybe Sunday night. I'm going to do some spirit card reading. It's about time for that. So, Truth, Chloe, everybody, I'll go through your names again. I love you all. Thank you. Have a pleasant tomorrow. A happy Saturday. Maverick, thank you as always. Project Sky Falls, Truth and Me, Teresa, Scratch, Chloe, Brandy, yeah. And Michelle as well. Ween, everybody. Thank you, Bob. And until next time, be safe, keep it between the ditches, and TTFN. Ta-ta from now, from down here in South Georgia. Hawkeye Two Feathers saying thank you so much for being who you are. Be the frequency you wish to receive. Thank you, Brian, and thank you, Soul Tribe. Till next time, bye-bye.